On today's episode of Breakout Creator, we welcome Zach Pincince, a stage hypnotist and motivational speaker known for his viral moments and the ability to make people fall asleep instantly on stage. Zach shares his story and insights on staying motivated, avoiding creator burnout, and the importance of having positive self-talk. So get ready to be inspired and mesmerized by the hypnosis sensation, Zach Pincince.
It's a very fun setup.
Yes, come on over. Take a seat. Relax. Can you see yourself? Can you see yourself here? Headphones are falling apart, but that's what we got to work with.
Well, I can hear you perfectly. I can hear me as well.
Cool. Oh yeah, you do impressions.
No, I sure do, pal.
Okay.
My impressions.
Gosh, this is gonna be so much fun.
Well, now, if you want me to be the bad guy, I'll be the bad guy.
Wow.
Welcome to the podcast.
I love it. Cool.
All right, I'm ready.
Well, who's that?
SpongeBob SquarePants. Ah!
You got any more?
Oh, is mayonnaise an instrument?
Ow, mayonnaise is not an instrument, Patrick. Get back to work at the Krusty Krab. What are you doing? Yes, get back to work so I can steal the formula crabs.
That's pretty good.
That's just the whole interview was just different impressions.
Yeah. Okay. This whole interview, got to use different voices. No, just kidding.
Oh, well, I think I could do that. That would be a fun interview.
Who's that?
What? Would you happen to have a smackerel of honey?
Is that Goofy? Oh my gosh, I was gonna say Goofy.
Well, the wonderful thing about Pooh Bears is they love to bounce, and now they're bouncing.
Wow.
Now with Tigger, of course.
But Tigger's not very happy with my lack of bouncing, but that's okay.
Wait, that was Eeyore?
Yes.
Okay. You're making me think hard about my Disney characters.
Keeping you on your toes here.
Disney? Are they Disney characters?
Oh, well, of course they are Disney.
Okay, good. Any other Disney characters you want to share with us?
Our Hannah means family, and the family means nobody gets left behind or forgotten.
Very good. Are you still playing that game? What was that game?
Oh, Disney Villainous?
Disney Villainous? Are you
Not
a
that
master?
much anymore. No. I played a little bit, but that
Oh.
was a big hobby over the pandemic when I had nothing else to do. Was spending all day playing virtual board games.
Yeah. Well, I brought you on here today to talk to you about TikTok and social media.
Beautiful. Are we already rolling? Did we already start? Is this the
we're-
beginning?
We're there.
Oh,
We're
perfect.
live.
So those impressions were the start of the podcast. Great.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I
They're
figured.
forever immortalized now.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Check it out. See over here? Boom.
Oh,
You know what this is?
wow. Those are my atrocious stats.
That's pretty dang good, actually. 16% engagement.
Is it that high? There's no way my engagement is that.
That's what this website's telling us. 858 million views.
That's a lot of views.
4.6
This is on TikTok.
4.6 million followers on TikTok. Yeah, 1,000 videos.
Wow,
1,000.
I hit 1,000 TikTok videos. I
Dang.
did not know. That's pretty cool.
Wow. When how far into posting on TikTok did you have a viral video?
10 days.
10 days.
10 days. I got on TikTok end of August 2019.
Wow.
And I just posted a few videos, some clips from my YouTube, just kind of for fun. And they did okay. At the time, my YouTube didn't have a big following either, too. So a few thousand views was good for me on YouTube at the time. And one of my TikToks, the first few, got like 2,000 views. And I was like, how did this happen? I have no following. And this video suddenly got 2,000 views.
Right.
A few videos later, one got like 5,000. And I thought, oh, this is really cool. I should keep posting. And within, I think, 8 or 9, 10 days of posting, one of my videos got like 2 million views. And I had 100,000 followers within 2 weeks of first getting on the app.
Wow.
Okay. All right. I am a TikTok creator now. Here we go.
Wow.
Got 500,000 after the first month. Was hit 1 million after a little over 2 months. So it was, pretty crazy start.
Holy cow, man. Wow. Did anybody tell you to get on TikTok or something? Like, how'd you find out about it?
Gary Vee
Okay.
talked about TikTok a lot. And
Yeah.
I had been following his content for a while and heard him talk about it enough times. And I thought, all right, got to start posting. Got to get on there.
Right.
So,
Dang. And
well, and I saw a video that he had done with Evan the card guy, who's now a friend of mine, and we've collabed a
he's
bunch.
coming on next week.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, Evan's great. But I saw a video that Gary did with Evan where Evan had started putting his stuff on TikTok, and obviously blew up on his own and has had a lot of great videos on his platform. But he was a magician at the time, and so I thought, oh, well, if he could do it with magic, hypnosis is similar enough that I could start putting my videos on the platform, and hopefully they perform just as well. And and they did. So
out of these 1,000 videos, okay, I know you went viral in the first few days. How many videos did you post? Did you say that? I missed that. Before that, you hit that viral video.
Before that, that was maybe it was one of my first 10 videos, but it was towards the back half, so it was maybe video 7 or 8 probably. Sure. But after that, I was trying to post at least once a day, and I think it bumped it up to 2 or 3 a day after that. So I was really rolling in, trying to consistently post to capitalize on the momentum.
So it's been what, 3 years now, and are you still posting regularly on these platforms? No. Let's go over all the metrics. Like how many followers you have on each platform?
Oh boy, okay. This is the social deep dive. Here we go.
Yeah. I don't have a chart for it today. I just have these as far as metrics.
Hey, that's still pretty cool to see. I would not assume that.
Do you know how many you have on YouTube?
660 something, I think.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. And then Instagram?
Instagram 149.
Okay. And are you on Facebook?
Facebook, I just started getting on Facebook. I created a page when Facebook was the first thing I had because like all of us, before Instagram and YouTube and TikTok, I was on Facebook. So I created a page that had a couple hundred likes. But I've just started posting reels more recently the past couple months, and I just hit 5,000 on Facebook. So starting to build some momentum there.
That's good. Right and early.
Yeah.
And then early it'll take off and gain momentum.
That's the idea.
Yeah. Were you always a hypnotist? I'm sure people want to know.
Ever since the wee age of 2 months old, I was hypnotizing my parents to feed me and love me and care for me. No, not at all. I didn't even know what hypnosis was until I was a freshman in college and saw a show. And the first time that I saw that show, I thought this is the coolest thing ever. I never thought that I would be the one to do it. But, here I am a few years later. I started learning when I was a senior in college. And if you had told me sitting at that first show as a freshman in college that, you're going to do this when you graduate, I would have thought, what are you on? Are you smoking the same stuff that people are down at Venice Beach? Like, what?
What'd you go to college for?
Initially, it was computer science. And after doing that for a few semesters, I thought I don't want to sit behind a desk and program and be antisocial. So I switched to communication, and that's what I graduated with. Okay,
communications. What were you thinking you were going to do? Like, what was your dream job at the moment?
Well, that switched every year that I was in college. Okay. So when I first went to school, I wanted to be a sports analyst and work in baseball news writing and sabermetrics, projections, and statistics. And then after about a year doing computer science, I thought, okay, maybe I want to do programming and use my major and work as a computer programmer.
Wow.
And then after I switched out of that, I thought, well, maybe I want to work in ministry and become like a pastor. I was really religious at that time.
Wow.
So I thought about going into that career field. And then after that time, I started getting into magic. So I thought maybe I want to be a magician and I want to do magic, and that could be really cool. And then I started working as an RA on campus, and I really enjoyed that. So I thought maybe I want to get into higher education and continue to go to grad school and work with students, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
And then I started doing hypnosis. I thought, I want to do that. And that was the one that eventually I decided, okay, I'm actually going to pursue that.
And you
did.
How long ago were you in college? Like, how old are you now?
I'm 27. Graduated in May of 2018. So.
2018. So you graduated in May 2018. So it was a small little gap there where you were still considering maybe doing being consumer science. What was it called?
Computer science.
Computer science. Yeah. Thank you. And
I started in 2014. So every year from 2014 to 2018 was just all these different career fields, possibilities. And end of 2017 was when I started learning hypnosis. So because I was graduating 2018 as a communication major with no specific trajectory, I decided I wanted to become a hypnotist. So started working, practicing, got a mentor, got certified. I started my certification class.
What do you mean? Wait, you're just
okay.
We're rolling over the details. Like, what do you mean you just get a mentor? Where do you get a mentor? Like, did you go to the supermarket and just, I'll take one of you?
Exactly. Right
and how did you learn hypnosis?
They were $39.99 on the shelf of Walmart. I just pulled one off. Hypnosis mentor. Perfect, right?
Yeah.
It was great. No, so what I did was, at the time, I didn't have a lot of exposure to hypnosis or didn't know of a lot of hypnotists. But what I had done was I had seen a few hypnotists. So there's this guy named Paul Ramsey, who was the guy who I first saw when I was a freshman in college. And he had performed at my school every year. And I went to the show every year, so I knew of him. There was this guy named Chris Jones who performed on America's Got Talent. He was the one that hypnotized Howie Mandel to shake his hand. If you've seen that viral video,
I haven't. No, I
it's a
should
pretty
look
cool
at
clip.
that. Yeah.
And Spidey, who is a Canadian hypnotist, who was I got one of his DVDs initially as I was starting to learn. So all of these guys have become great friends of mine at this point and colleagues in the industry. But early on, they were just people I looked up to in the industry. These are hypnotists that I knew were working and were successful. So I literally just cold emailed all of them. I said, I am learning hypnosis and I want to do this as a career. And I've read these books and watched these DVDs and this is how I've gotten started. But how do I get going? And how do I actually, like, what advice would you have for me to make a career out of this?
Yeah.
And Paul, who was the guy who I saw the first show from, he emailed me back like the next day and he said, hey, I'm actually taking on a mentorship,
Sure.
find a student if you want to learn with me. And initially I told him no. I was like, no, maybe I will later, but I'm still in the middle of a semester. I don't know if I want to take this training program. It was a decent amount of money at the time too. And so I was like, well, I don't know if that's what I want to do. But after sitting with it for a day, I thought, why wait? If I wait, I might not still want to do this. If I wait, there might be other things that come up.
That's interesting.
But this is somebody that I've looked up to for a while, and he's the first hypnotist I saw. So this is a cool full circle moment to be able to work with him, and he now becomes the person to teach me. So I decided to start working with him, and he was local too. So it was supposed to be an online training, but because he lived an hour away, he was willing to drive and meet up with me on campus a few times, and he was very gracious with the time he was willing to dedicate to me to help me learn. And super great guy, and still stay in touch with him to this day. And he's one of the reasons why I got started. But the fact that he responded to that cold email that I just kind of sent out as a shot in the dark of, I'm just looking for advice, and that turned into mentorship and training and ultimately the career.
So he trained you how to be a stage hypnotist, like straight from hypnotize people on the street to hypnotist?
Well, I'd already started learning on my own. So I'd actually done a full show before I started working with him, but he really helped me to hone my craft. And
I know you have a good story about that first show. I want to bring that up. Can we talk about that?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I started learning, the first time I learned was October of 2017 2017. And then I was just hypnotizing random people, going up to strangers, trying to hypnotize people. And after I did it for the first time, I thought, all right, well, I got to get some more practice and experience. So I did it a handful of times. But the challenge with hypnosis is you can't just practice it in your room like you can with magic or singing or any other hobby. You have to actually have people to hypnotize. And so I was at a leadership camp going into my last semester with a bunch of other students from my school. And there were about 50, 60 of us at this camp. And I would tell people as I was meeting them and getting to them, hey, I do magic, I do hypnosis. And of course, they're like, no way, this is so cool. Like, show us, like, we need to know more.
Yeah.
So I would do some card tricks for people over the course of the retreat, but people kept asking to see the hypnosis. They're like, can you hypnotize us? Can you do like a show like this? We really need to see this. This is awesome. No one does hypnosis. And so after a few days, I just kind of made an announcement at the end of the night as we're wrapping up. I said, hey, I know a lot of you have been asking to see my hypnosis, so I'm going to do a show at the end of the night. If anyone wants to come see it and check it out, we'll just kind of have some fun, kind of low key. I didn't tell them I had never done a show before.
Right.
But I thought, I'd been learning. I had been really kind of immersing myself in material and thinking, if I ever did a show, this is what I might do. And this is a perfect opportunity to try it out. Now, the whole retreat shows up for it. So all 60 students are there and they're like, all right, hypnosis show. We're ready. This is going to be great. And so I do a full show and it goes great. It's a full 80-minute show. I have 8 of them up on the front of the space, and they were very deeply hypnotized and were super fun, had some really great reactions. And people were telling me afterwards, that was awesome. That show was so good. That was better than paid hypnotists I've seen. You were awesome. You were so good. You have to do this. And so for me, that was a really big boost of confidence of thinking, well, if I could do this after a few months of just practicing and learning on my own, if I actually took this seriously, how far could I get with it? So that was when I started, reaching out to these other hypnotists, started working with Paul, and he really helped me take it to the next level of really, being able to answer any questions I had, give me advice. And if you want to get started, here's how you need to market yourself, build a website, do this, reach out to schools in this way. Here's how you can practice. He even came to 1 or 2 of my practice shows and gave me some live feedback, which was really great.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. That's amazing to be in that position. I mean, you said you had only been doing hypnosis for a few months at that point, and then you were you told some friends, and then you were kind of thrust yourself into this.
More or less, I just pushed myself off in the deep end.
Yeah.
All right, sink or swim. And luckily, I swam. So.
I can imagine. I always think of this situation. It's very amazing. It seems like you've gotten like throughout your early career, even like you've taken little steps, and each step has given you a sign that this is kind of like the right thing you should be doing. And I'm curious how you made that transition between doing these stage shows now and then posting onto TikTok.
So, like anybody that starts in a new industry, it was sort of navigating this weird dichotomy of how do I get hired without experience?
Mm-hmm.
But the only way to get experience is to get hired. So, what are you supposed to do there? I wanted to make this my career and make a living out of being a hypnotist. But how would I convince people that I know what I'm doing to the point where they would be willing to pay me to be able to do a show? And so I thought, well, I need to prove myself in situations where I'm just doing it for free. And so I started going out and doing street hypnosis, where I would go. I was still living in New Hampshire at the time, so I would go out to a local park or the local beach or a downtown area that was had a lot of people. And so I would just go up to random strangers and ask, "Oh, can I hypnotize you?" And most of them would say no, because it's a weird thing for someone to ask you, right? But some people would say yes, and I would hypnotize them. And I would always have someone with me who was filming on my phone.
Right.
I didn't have a camera. I didn't even have a mic when I started. After a few videos, I realized I needed to buy a mic because the audio quality was crappy filming outside if you're just using a phone. But it was just my phone the whole time. I would have someone tag along and here's my phone, just hold it up and record for me as I'm doing the hypnosis. And
Right.
so then I would just put those videos online as sort of a social proof to show that I knew what I was doing. And as I got these little smaller, tiny shows that I started booking, I would film those and put videos of those online. And I never got on social media with the intent of being a content creator. This was more just to be able to show I knew what I was doing as a hypnotist and use it as like a virtual resume. And so I was just doing it to kind of build my following and build my exposure and show that I knew what I was doing. And eventually, my first time visiting LA was March of 2019. And I was out here for an event. And then I went out to Venice Beach for the first time and was, this is a perfect opportunity to do some beach hypnosis, some street hypnosis here on the beach. So I did some hypnosis here at Venice Beach. And then I ended up doing a video that went really, really viral on YouTube. It got to like 2 million views after about a month. Wow. After the first week or two, it was doing okay. It had like 10,000 views, which was great for me at the time.
Sure.
And then after about 2 weeks, it sort of just took off and hit 1 million and then 2 million. And now is, I think, almost 10 million views with that one video. But that video really sort of helped to take my channel to the next level. It got me the attention of an agent, which I'm now working with to be able to do shows. And then later that year, eventually I started getting on TikTok too. And as we talked about, that blew up very quickly, way quicker than I could have anticipated. Right. YouTube, it took months and dozens of videos before anything kind of even did somewhat, decent. And TikTok, it was almost instantly within a week or two of being on the platform.
Yeah.
So it was really, really cool to get that sort of traction. And then a few months later, I ended up moving here to LA and got the opportunity to work with a lot of really cool creators and do some fun hypnosis collabs where I'd hypnotize other YouTubers or TikTokers, many of which you were there for, or you even filmed for me.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's been a really fun ride.
Talk a little bit more about that. How did you, start working with influencers and really connect? Like, were you messaging them, or did they message you?
Yeah, almost all of them were them reaching out to me. As much as I wish I could say I had the initiative and I was DMing hundreds of influencers a day, right? No, I was just enjoying doing my thing, and my videos were doing really well on TikTok, and people would see them and they would send a message to me saying, hey, could you hypnotize me for my channel, or could you come on do a video with me? And so most of them were just naturally people saw my stuff and DM'd me because they thought it was interesting, and I responded and we set something up and made it happen. And a few of them were just through connections of people that I connected with. So like the video that I did with 24K Golden, I never met him, and I don't know that if he never saw my stuff, but you had connected with him and he came to a meetup and we met there, and I hypnotized him at the meetup. And that was another video that's done really, really well. And
oh, nice.
It was cool. So
yeah.
So it was either people reaching out to me and connecting with them that way, or me connecting with, friends of friends who I'd already connected with and just networking and branching out in that way.
Working with 24 Karat Golden. Okay. Have you worked with any other big celebrities?
I got to do a show for Tony Robbins, which was pretty cool.
Okay.
So that was really, really a fun opportunity. That's not something that was ever posted, or it was ever kind of put out publicly, because it was it was for one of his private events.
Yeah.
And so something they never posted about on their end because they like to keep their private events, private. But yeah, it was a really cool opportunity because he's been someone who I've looked up to for a long time, and I've gone to a bunch of his events on my own and read a lot of his books, and he was someone who I learned a lot from as I was getting into the world of hypnosis and psychology.
Totally.
And so it was really a really cool full circle moment to go from, learning as much as I could from someone like that to actually being able to do a show and meeting him and him giving me such high praise for how well the show went. It was just such a cool moment.
How do you basically find who you want to hypnotize when you go to a show, when you're doing a show?
Well, I just look out into the audience and I carefully make eye contact with every person there. And I say, you will be hypnotized.
No, I have no idea who's going to get hypnotized when I do a show. And that's part of the fun. So there's really not a lot of preparing you can do. It's a lot of being able to improvise, being able to think on my feet. Depending on how big the show is, I will either take volunteers, or if the audience is big enough, I will just hypnotize everybody at once for the people that want to be hypnotized, and then take people as it works well from the audience up on stage, and they become, the rest of the show. But I have no idea. Every time I walk into a show, walk into a theater, who is going to get hypnotized, how many people are going to get hypnotized. So there's a lot of pressure in that regard because I don't know if anybody will get hypnotized or how well this is going to go, but I have to be able to trust myself and have confidence in my ability and, my improv skills to be able to adapt. And if it's not working, how do I make it work? And a lot of that I learned through the street hypnosis where, when you're in those situations on the fly, you have to be able to adapt and figure it out as you go. So yeah, when I do those shows, I don't know who's going to get hypnotized, and I can't really prepare. I just have to trust in my skill set and do my thing, and it always ends up working out just fine. So,
do you know, is there like a certain type of person that regularly you see come up on stage? Like, is there like a similar personality?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, hypnosis is a voluntary state, so nobody that doesn't want to get hypnotized is going to get hypnotized. But people who tend to be a little more open-minded as an individual, as a person, are more easily hypnotized because they open themselves up to it, right? People who are a little more emotional versus a little more analytical tend to let themselves go and like enjoy the experience versus people who are more type A and rationalizing. They're sitting there thinking, is this working? Like, how do I make this work? What's going on? Am I hypnotized? Am I not? Versus the people who are more the emotional type, they just let themselves become immersed in the emotion of the experience, and they sort of let go and let loose, and they go much deeper into that hypnotized state. So, but it goes both ways. I've had some people who are, more type A that end up getting really hypnotized, and vice versa. So you never really know, but the type of people who are a little more open and outgoing and free-spirited tend to be the ones who are hypnotized a little quicker and easier.
Do you believe anyone can be hypnotized?
I do. Hypnosis is a psychological state that's very similar to when you dream, and almost all of us dream. So, if your mind is able to do that at night, hypnosis is the same type of state. So it's just about allowing you to bypass your own limitations of what you think hypnosis is or isn't, and getting to that state, which you already experience all the time anyway.
Dude, your improv skills are excellent. I noticed during some of your hypnosis shows when people would be like, "Oh, I'm not." If you're not hypnotized, raise your hand, whatever, get off the stage, and then they start walking back to their seat. But you still hypnotize them in some capacity, like to come back.
Well,
and you prove it to them that they're actually hypnotized.
So I'll expound on that story just a little bit. A lot of times, if someone's not actually hypnotized and they get off the stage and they're really not into it, I just let them go because I'm not going to force them to experience it if they don't want to.
That's right.
But there have been one or two times, and this is the video that you're referencing, which was one of my
dad
really
actually
viral
brought this up.
He did?
Yeah.
So in this scenario, this was a high school show that I did, and this was a after prom show. So it was like a 2 a.m. high school show. So it was late. Students have been up all day, hypnotizing them. And the people I had up on stage, I knew were hypnotized, right? I'd done enough times that I knew they were in a state. And one of them sort of comes out of it, and they were like, "Oh, the hypnosis isn't working." And so they get up to start leaving. And I know that it is. Yes. So I asked them, because I want to make sure that if they don't want to be on the stage, I'm not going to force them to be on the stage. Sure. So I say, "Do you not want to be a part of the show, or was the hypnosis just not working?" And they said, "Oh, no, it just isn't working." And I say, "Okay, bet. Watch this." Put them right back into it. They fall right back into the trance, and the audience is freaking out. I'm like, "What's going on?" So to kind of have some fun, I say, "Hey, the next time you open your eyes, your feet are completely stuck to the ground and you can't move. 1, 2, 3, awake." I say, "Oh, the hypnosis isn't working." And they're like, "Yeah, no, it's not." I say, "Okay, go back to your seat." And they're like, wait, I can't go back to my seat. I'm stuck. And I'm like, okay, I guess the hypnosis isn't working. Sleep, and put them back into it. And they stayed on stage and were a great part of the show for the rest of the night.
Have you ever thought about what's happening in their brain when you tell them that the feet are stuck and then their feet are actually stuck? Like, does that blow your mind at all?
I mean, it does. It did a lot when I was first learning. I become so used to it that I've become sort of spoiled by the magic of it in a way, right? Like, I always forget every time I do a show, just a simple act of me putting somebody into hypnosis where I say sleep and they're not falling asleep, but they're going into a sleep-like hypnosis trance. For me, that's like just the beginning of, we're just getting started. Nothing's happened yet. But I have to remember that the people who are watching have never seen that before. And they're like, what just happened? He snapped his fingers and someone just passed out. Like, what is going on? So I always have to remember to look at, my shows and my videos from the perspective of people who have never seen hypnosis or don't know what's going on. So even the things that to me are the simplest, easiest things because I've done them all the time are still really, really cool to people who've never seen them.
Do you have a favorite skit that you like to do on stage?
Yeah, I mean, the favorite
people.
celebrity one is always so much fun.
Yeah.
Hypnotizing people to think I'm their favorite celebrity is, it's fun because I never know who they're going to think that I am, right? It's Beyonce, it's Justin Bieber, it's Taylor Swift, it's whoever. Sometimes it's a random athlete or YouTuber or somebody who I've never heard of, and I sort of have to just on the fly sort of make up like, oh yeah, okay, sure, remind them what I do. Okay, I'm a tennis player. Great. Like, how would you like to play some tennis with me sometime? And I have to create a situation from that, even if I don't know who that person is. Now, I'm someone who's fairly caught up in pop culture, so most celebrities, I at least have a sense of, okay, I know that actor or that singer or who that person is, so I can kind of build off of that and give them a fun moment. But the reactions of people, thinking I'm their favorite celebrity is always so much fun. I had a show recently where someone thought I was Taylor Swift and they jumped up and grabbed me and started dancing with me. And I was like, whoa, okay. I just kind of let it happen. I was like, oh, this is fun. This doesn't usually happen, but you never know how people will respond.
Speaking of Taylor Swift, who's your favorite singer? Is it still Taylor Swift?
Taylor Swift is definitely up there. She's someone I've been a fan of for a long time. My favorite band has been this for years. It's a band called Against the Current. It's someone who, they're not that well known. Chrissy Costanza is the lead singer of that band, but they're kind of a pop punk alternative band that I've really been a huge fan of for years. So they're my favorite musical artist, singer, band. But yeah, Taylor Swift is definitely and always will be up there for me.
Okay. I thought you were total Swiftie.
I am to an extent. I mean, especially, her first few albums, I was all over and listened to so much.
Okay, I'll bring it back. So
I mean, you don't have to. We could talk about Taylor Swift for the rest of the podcast. That's fine too. Which album are we talking about? We'll dive deep into.
There we go. There we go. Wow, man.
We know all too well how much of a Swiftie we can be if we want to go there, but that's all right.
That's right. So you've been doing hypnosis at this point for 4 years? 5 years right now?
A little over 5 years now, yeah.
Since you've started doing hypnosis, have you noticed the like our culture, oh my gosh, our culture accepting hypnosis more? No.
Now, people just still don't know what hypnosis really is or what it's about. People still assume it's mind control, it's this superpower. They still assume that when I put people into hypnosis, I'm putting them to sleep, and that's not what it is. But yeah, so there's still a big misconception about what hypnosis is and what it isn't. Yeah. It's not that it's not necessarily socially accepted as much as people still just don't get it. They don't understand it.
Right.
They don't know what's happening.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And that's
which is fair. I mean, if you see that, you're like, what is going on? This person just got knocked out by someone snapping or saying the word sleep. Like, what is going on? So it looks unbelievable. So I can certainly empathize with the people who are flooding my comments with fake. This is not real. Those are great actors. You must be paying them a lot, right? I get those comments all the time. And while it does get very annoying, I can certainly understand it. I can get like, okay, sure. If all you know about hypnosis is what you saw in Get Out or in Incredibles 2 or in The Office Space or Now You See Me, right? Or any of these movies where hypnosis is portrayed as this mind control type power, then I get when you see somebody doing it in real life, you assume that that is not real because the stuff in the movies is not real. But hypnosis is sort of a lighter version of that definitely is still very powerful and has some very cool effects. But it is not what people assume that it is. So people naturally assume it's fake because all they know of hypnosis is the fake stuff they see on TV.
Are there any movies that have portrayed hypnosis correctly, you think?
No.
Not Shallow Hal?
No.
Dang.
Shallow Hal's a fun one.
Yeah.
The one movie Tony Robbins was in, right? Where he hypnotizes Jack Black to have a different perspective on women in the classic line, "Get off me, banana hands!" Is always in my mind forever. But
what do you think the future of hypnosis is?
it's a great question.
Right?
I wish I knew what the future of hypnosis would be. But no, I hope it's, more people being willing to get into it. I think that's been one of the cool things for me as I've, been able to garner a lot of views with my content is I've inspired a lot of people to learn hypnosis. Yeah. And I've gotten a lot of really nice comments and messages of people saying, I've seen your videos about hypnosis and now not a day has gone by where I don't think about hypnosis, and I've been learning and I've been practicing and I want to be a hypnotist because of you, because of your videos.
Wow.
And so in a cool way, like I've inspired, somewhat of the next generation of hypnotists, if
Absolutely.
you will. I don't know
Absolutely.
the extent of the number of those people or what that will look like, and whether those people are doing it for fun or they do stage shows or hypnotherapy or whatever branch of hypnosis they decide to get into. But I've certainly been able to bring a lot of exposure and positive light to hypnosis, which has been really fun. So we'll see where that goes. And, hopefully on the horizon, there will be opportunities to really be able to show more of what hypnosis can do in a positive way and show that it's not mind control, but it's a real psychological state. And there's a lot we still don't understand about the way our minds work, about our own neurobiology and the way that beliefs affect our experiences. Like, we understand that the placebo effect is a thing, but we don't know why it's a thing. We don't know really how or why it works. We understand that we could take a sugar pill and get better because we took a sugar pill, even if we know it's a sugar pill and there's no real pharmaceutical effects from that fake medicine, but yet we still will get better. And we understand that it's because of the belief we have that the medicine will work, but we don't know why that's happening. We don't know what's going on in our brain that's causing that. And so in the coming decades, as the science gets better and better, and as we're able to really learn more and more about, our own neurobiology, we'll be able to understand more of why these things work, why the placebo effect works, why hypnosis works, and how they work, and what's actually going on in the brain. But because we're still at the infancy of understanding sort of that science and that understanding of our own self, we're still sort of stuck with just being like, all right, well, we know this works, but we don't know how or why or what's really going on just yet.
Wow. Has there ever been someone from a stage show that months later messages you and says, hey, my feet are still stuck to the floor or whatever? Anything like that?
No, that's a lawsuit waiting to happen, isn't it?
No. Or like a positive effect in the future.
So here, I'll give two examples. I'll give one funny one and one more serious one.
Sure.
So I did have a high school show that I did one time where I did my classic, there was a big crowd, so I hypnotized everyone in the audience and had some people up on stage. And one of the things I do is I hypnotize them to forget their name while they're in the audience. And I say, if you don't remember your name, come up on stage. I'll help you get it back. And those are my volunteers for the show. After the show, I was chatting with some students, chatting with some parents. Oh, your show was amazing. It was so good. It was so awesome. One of the parents, a group of parents, comes up to me and they say, she doesn't know her name still.
No,
it was one of the moms in the audience was just like, she doesn't know her name.
Wow.
And I thought, okay, well, watch this. She was holding a water bottle. So I said, give me that bottle. As soon as I hand it back to you, you know your name. Watch, here you go. Your name is. And she was like, oh, she just said it.
Wow.
And her friends were like, what just happened? How did she not know her name? And suddenly just remembering it. And hypothetically, if she never told me that and I walked away, the name would have come back, right? She eventually would have sort of come out of the state of realizing like, okay, I don't need to keep forgetting it. I'm not in this state where it's appropriate to keep forgetting it. So it would come back as it should. But in that moment, she was still immersed sort of in that show experience and immersed kind of with me being there into that idea. And so she still forgot it during the whole show, which was kind of funny. But there are certainly circumstances where it works in a more positive light. I've done a lot of really cool hypnosis through the screen videos where I have some videos on my YouTube where I say, watch this video and you'll get hypnotized.
Yeah.
And some of them are just more for fun to forget your name or think your hands are stuck or your feet are stuck or whatever. But some are more for some real positive effects of having people hypnotized to be more confident, to be less anxious, to get over a fear, to stop your anxiety, whatever it may be. And I get the whole gauntlet of comments from people saying, this was stupid and fake and wasted 20 minutes of my life. And you're fake and dumb for making these, to people who say, wow, this was seriously life-changing and I'm a different person because of this video, and thank you so much for this. And I had a comment recently on my video for helping someone to get over their fears, where someone commented, hey, I've had a fear of driving, specifically driving on highways, for 20 years.
Wow.
And I watched this hypnosis video, and after watching this video, I felt like I was comfortably able to go drive on highways again. And I did. And I was shocked that I did. And then I went back and did it again later today, and I did it again and felt just fine. So this person, after watching a random hypnosis through the screen video from me, was able to overcome their fear of decades because of a simple hypnosis video. So it's one of those cool things where it's the whole spectrum of some people, it may not work as well because they're distracted or not open or whatever may have you. And, they'll comment that it's fake and it's dumb. But for some people, it will be actually life-changing that they get to have that experience, which is really cool.
Are there different applications for hypnosis?
Sure.
Like what?
Well, kind of like I talked about with the hypnosis through the screens, right? I've done hypnosis for confidence, for stress, for anxiety, for getting over fears. Hypnosis at its core is simply just the idea of being able to experience your belief to the point where that becomes your real life experience, sort of like a dream, right? What's happening in the dream isn't real, but when you're experiencing it, it feels real. If you get somebody into a state where they become so locked into a belief, it becomes what they think is real, they will experience it just like it's real. So whether that is for fun on stage, whether I'm hypnotizing someone to think I'm their favorite celebrity, or I'm invisible, or they don't know their name, or the fun, silly things I do, or whether it's those more serious things of helping people to beat their anxiety, to feel more confident, to get over their fears, their stress, whatever situation they're in, if they are in that state where they're able to allow that new belief to really grab hold of them, that will affect the way that they live their life. So if someone has a fear of, let's say this person had the fear of driving on highways, all that's happening, that fear is really just a story. It's a current belief that is in their mind, a belief that they can't do this, that it's not safe, that they won't be able to handle it. And we know logically that there's no real merit to that belief. Like, okay, sure, accidents happen, but for the most part, you're safe driving on the highway, and it's okay to do, and it's a normal thing to do, and it's not that scary to do. But whether it was from a traumatic incident or experience or whatever happened, that person created a new belief or story in their mind of driving is very scary, and I can't do it, and I won't do it, and I shouldn't do it. And their mind created this belief set that stopped them from being able to have the positive experience of being able to drive freely on the highway or freeway.
What I find most interesting about that is that that person didn't really have to share why they felt that way.
Yeah.
What had happened previously for them to have that issue before and then they watched this video and that worked for them.
Well, through the video, I sort of help them to unpack that
Okay.
a bit, right? And so it's not something they need to share with me or with a therapist or anyone else, but through the video, I sort of guide them to that realization of helping them to move past that initial experience, right? So for example, with fear, there's an old NLP tactic. NLP is neuro-linguistic programming, which is sort of like hypnosis, but without the trance or sleepy, relaxing elements, right? It's being able to sort of program your mind to experience a new belief. So they have this technique to be able to help people overcome their fears, where you imagine yourself sitting in a movie theater, sort of watching yourself experiencing that traumatic thing that caused you to have that fear. So for example, if you were driving in a highway and you got into a crash, on the highway 10 years ago, and now you will never drive there again because you got into that accident, your mind keeps replaying that moment and is stopping you from doing that again in order to keep you safe. So you imagine yourself sort of sitting in this movie theater, watching yourself experiencing it. Now, you can't have someone just experience it in their mind, or they'll relive that trauma in that moment. So that's why you sort of create this disassociation of you imagine yourself watching yourself. And sometimes it will take people to the point where you say, imagine yourself floating out of your body, and now this ghost of you is watching this version of you that's watching you on the screen. So you create enough disassociation that they're removed from the trauma, that they're not experiencing it, and you have them experience themselves experiencing it, but you do it to the point where they then distort that memory. So you say, imagine yourself watching that memory, and then fast forward and make it really fast, and then rewind it, and then make it double speed fast forward, double speed rewind, make it in a funny voice, in a silly voice, and just scramble it and make it ridiculous and silly. And so they just get this point where this fear or this memory or this traumatic incident suddenly becomes so scrambled and disassociated from the old memory that now when they go into that circumstance where they might have been afraid, their mind isn't replaying that old fear, that old story, that old belief, and they have room for a new belief, a new story to be made where they aren't afraid anymore.
That sounds similar to EMDR. Are you familiar with
No.
that? Eye movement desensitization,
Oh, yeah.
reprogramming. It's the idea that like the way we look, it kind of stores where the memories are. If we look up, if we look down, and we have to like
visual, auditory, kinesthetic.
yes, we have, but we have to. The idea is that we have to look in those directions while we're speaking to recall that information, so that if you reprogram, we can go and look it up and talk about it more some other time. But
No, it is a
the way you just described it, though, sitting in the theater is the same idea, but with past history, past trauma, but like reprogramming that in real time, sitting in a theater, but disassociating that is it's something I've never thought about hypnosis being like that.
Yeah. And again, that's more an indirect sort of form of hypnosis, but it will work well for some people. Some people it may not work, but again, if I do this video where I think that video has like 100,000 views or something, like 50,000 people, half the people watching it say this is fake and it doesn't work, and 40,000 people, it works okay, but doesn't have that much of an effect. But for 10,000 people, it works great. That's still a lot of people that it helps.
Sure. Do you have any tips for people that want to get into hypnosis, how they would get started?
Sure. The biggest tip is you are going to suck.
Okay.
Yes,
That's it?
You're going to suck. No, I mean, in all seriousness, you are going to suck. You're going to fail. You're not going to know what you're doing. And the only way to learn and move past it is to be willing to suck and to fail and to learn. With hypnosis, the only way to practice is by doing it. You can't practice on your own, like with any other hobby, with singing or with magic or with music or whatever. With videos, you can practice doing it on your own before you make it public, before you let the world see, before you do it in front of other people. The only way to practice hypnotizing somebody is by actually hypnotizing somebody and by seeing for yourself, okay, that didn't work. And why did that not work? And now the police are coming for me.
They're coming for you.
They realize that secret is too valuable to be let out to the world. But no, that is just the truth of being able to learn anything is you have to be willing to fail. And you have to understand that you can't actually fail because no matter what happens, you will either win or you will learn. So you will either have it succeed and you will go right, or it won't go right, but you will be able to learn from that experience and you'll be able to take that opportunity to know what to do better next time. So if you want to learn hypnosis, if you want to get into it, you have to know and understand that the first few times it is not going to work. You are not going to know what to do. You're going to get into a situation where you feel stuck, where you're not quite sure what to do, but you have to let yourself be willing to embrace that uncomfortability and be willing to embrace that uncertainty and just go with the flow and learn from those experiences. And, I've failed more than most people have tried, but ultimately that's why I have succeeded.
Speaking of failure, have you failed on like doing a live show, like in front of people?
Yeah.
What was that like? How'd you get through that?
Thankfully, I've never actually had a flop show that I've gotten paid to do, right? I had put enough of the work in up front where every show I've gotten paid to do like was successful enough. I certainly have some shows that are great and some shows afterwards that I'm still like, that was all right. But the audience still loved it. So it was still a success in that regard. But early on, when I was first starting out, I was doing these practice shows. I was still a student at the time. So I was doing shows in the different dorms on campus where I would just go to these different college dorm buildings and do shows for the students there. The first time that I did a show, nobody got hypnotized and it was really awkward. I was like, okay, thanks for having me. Cool. Yeah, I'm never doing this again. Right? But I had to do it the next time and was willing to learn from that failure. And the next time I did it, only one person got hypnotized, but it was more than zero. And the next time, like 2 people got hypnotized. It didn't work that well, but it was still better than the last time. But I just kept learning from each previous failure and saying, all right, well, it didn't work, but how can I take responsibility for the fact that it failed? And how can I learn from that failure and do better next time? And got to the point where by the end of the year, I was doing these killer free shows in the dorms on campus and was ready to kind of graduate and jump into doing this full time. But the first few shows certainly did not go well. There were shows where nobody got hypnotized and it was awkward, but had to learn from them, and ultimately here I am because of being willing to learn from those failures.
How long has hypnosis been around for? Do you know?
It's been around for a few hundred years under different names, under different terms. I think the word hypnosis has been more popularized in the last 150 years, but it used to be called mesmerism. That used to be the term for it. Animal magnetism was the first term that kind of came out for it. because it was this performer that would go around claiming that animals had this magnetic power. And it was all just the power of suggestion, right? It was a hypnotic principle. But they would say, oh, when you're exposed to this animal magnetism, this thing is going to happen. And so they would get people to have this effect based on the suggestion or power of belief. But at the time, they thought it was, oh, well, this magnetic animal is causing this thing. Not that the animals were magnetic, but just the fact that you put them that close created this magnetic force or power or whatever, right? So, but it's been around under different names or different terms for a while. Hypnosis as a term became more popularized, I think, especially by Freud, using it in some of his theories and perspectives, the early start of the century or decade, whatever you call the 100 years, the 1900s, right?
Sure.
But yeah, so it's been around under different names for a while, but yeah, it's still very much in its infancy of, like we talked about, really understanding what's going on and what's actually happening in the mind.
So I see you as like one of the pioneers right now, because you're young, you're right. It's 2023 now. You're making. I mean, you have 4.6 million followers on TikTok. You're like probably the most followed TikToker, hypnotist TikToker right now on the planet. Is that still the case?
As far as I know,
there
could be someone who's killing it in Asia as a hypnotist and has way more followers than me, but I have no idea. But doing pretty good in my own right, at least.
What do you think the future for you looks like as far as like your career path? What do you want to do? What do you want to do through your life?
I have no idea.
No, I'm still definitely figuring that out. And I know hypnosis is something that I really enjoy, and I've certainly built a talent and a skill set for. And it's something I think I will always do to an extent. But I don't know. I think at this point I've done it for 5 years, and I think I've started to realize that I want to do more than just doing hypnosis shows. There are hypnotists who they love doing it and they just want to do the college circuit and the shows, and they want to tour in Vegas and they love doing shows so much that that's all they want to do, and they make 20, 30-year careers out of it.
Wow.
But for me, I don't know that that's what I want to do. Like if you handed me a contract right now and said you can do a show in Vegas right now and you do a show every night for the next year, I don't know that I would want to do that.
Wow.
Because as much as I enjoy performing, I don't know that I would just want to perform every single night and do the same show every night. I like the variety. I like being able to learn and try different things. And there have been other hobbies and fun things that I've, picked up along the way, as far as, started learning how to sing a while ago, started doing voice acting, impressions. Acting would be fun to get into eventually as well too. So I think there's a lot of things that are still on the horizon that I would love to explore more and get into more. Especially with hypnosis, I've learned a lot about psychology and philosophy and personal development and how we can improve our lives through the understanding the power of our own beliefs. So I'd love to get into doing speaking more and more motivational content as well. So there are all these little sort of branches of things that I enjoy or I have fun doing that are completely unrelated to hypnosis that are still parts of what I want to do. But I'm still in the stage of trying to figure out, kind of the balancing act of all of those, or how much priority do I give hypnosis versus singing versus acting versus impressions versus social media versus speaking, like in all of these different things that I want to try. So as much as I would love to know what my life will look like in 2, 5, 10 years and where I'll be at, I'm sort of just okay with being on the journey right now and on the ride, and it will unfold as it does. And maybe in 5 years, I never do another hypnosis show again.
Oh.
Or maybe I'm doing shows all around the world and hypnotizing the world's biggest celebrities. Like, you really don't know, and that's part of the fun,
I could see
journey of the process.
I could see that. I could see
Which one? Never doing the
no
show again, or
hypnotizing.
dancing famous
No,
celebrities?
hypnotizing the world's biggest celebrities. Maybe like on a tour. I was just in downtown and looking at the Heat game 2 nights ago, and there was a sign about like. What's that thing called? Not mentalism, but medium. It was Hollywood Medium or something was coming to a live event here in LA. And I was thinking, I don't know why people believe that stuff.
Yeah.
So, I could see you doing a hypnosis show, in LA or around the world, like hypnotizing.
You wanna get a quick inside scoop?
Absolutely. That's why we're here.
Podcast exclusive.
This will be out
Breakout
like in a couple
Creator
weeks. So let's go.
exclusive.
Yeah.
So I actually applied to do a Netflix show.
Okay.
And I got sort of like the callback where they asked me to come in and hypnotize their executives.
Okay.
We were trying to pitch a Netflix show where it was me hypnotizing big celebrities, kind of like a David Blaine Street Magic special, but with hypnosis.
Right.
And so we sort of put out this idea, and Netflix was interested, and so we had a few virtual pitch meetings, and they liked it enough. They said, "Come into our office, and can you come hypnotize our executives? Like, we want to see if this works, if this is legit." And so I went in to the Netflix building and hypnotized them in person. I had two of them that I hypnotized. One of them was pretty skeptical, and they were like, "I don't know if this works. I'm open to it, but I don't know if I believe in hypnosis." And hypnotized them, and it went really well, and had them stuck to their chairs and forgetting their names, and lots of fun things happened. And by the end of it, they were like, "Okay, I definitely believe this now. That was really cool." And by the end of it, they said that was one of the best pitch meetings we've ever had. Like, that was so cool. That was awesome. And then a few weeks later, they came back and said, "We're good on the show, but thank you though." So, which I was understandable, because Netflix is at the point where they're unfortunately kind of losing a lot of subscribers. They're having to roll out their ad tiers. I think they're kind of focused on doing IPs and big budget, movies and sequels and, products they know are going to succeed at the moment. So I think the risk of taking on a new show with a new creator and a new concept, they weren't willing to take the risk at that time, which made sense, but it was still cool that I was able to go in and say, "Hey, I got to go in and hypnotize some Netflix executives, and they loved it, and it went great." And I can say that I put on one of the best pitches they've ever had, which is a cool kind of bucket list thing to achieve, even if it never turned into a show.
Have you ever hypnotized yourself your way into a place? Like, hypnotized the guard?
Well, okay. The day before I moved to LA.
Okay.
The day before I moved to LA.
What about that?
It was Halloween, 2019. I hypnotized my way into a TikTok event.
No way.
Not really hypnotized my way in, but more or less, a little bit. I had just moved to LA. I had signed a lease a few days ago, and I was staying with a friend before getting into my new apartment. And so I heard that there was this TikTok kind of Halloween creator event that was going on. And I wasn't in the creator program at that time. Like, now I am, and I have connection and a rep and everything. But before, I wasn't in the creator program. I had just hit 1 million followers a day or two ago. So I had, built a name for myself and was getting out there, but I wasn't in the program, and this was an invite only. And so I knew someone that had told me about it, and they said, "Hey, this is kind of an exclusive event. Like, I couldn't even get my girlfriend in as a +1 because it's literally like they're super serious about like only creators to this event."
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, I'll just kind of show up and see if I can just kind of get in. And so we go, they give me the address, which they were like, "Don't tell anyone I gave you this address because it's not good." So they gave me this address, and I show up, and the address wasn't even the address of the event. It was the address of a parking lot where they would check you in to make sure you were supposed to be there,
Right.
and then drive you up to the Hollywood Hills mansion where the event was.
Yeah.
So I get to this place where I'm checking in. I'm standing in line, and I realize, okay, they're checking names and checking IDs and everything. So I'm kind of like, well, I don't know how I'm going to get past this. So I'm just kind of chatting with people in line, and I just sort of make my way past the check-in like I had already checked in, getting into the line to like get onto the shuttle. And so I'm like, okay, I successfully made it past like the check-in. They didn't see that I was able to do that. And so as they were getting on the shuttles, you had to show your wristband to show that you were there. So I just did one of those quick, wristband flashes without a wristband on my wrist. Just, yep, I got one. I'm good. And they're like, good, good, good. And I was like, yes, I got on the shuttle. So I'm here. I'm on the shuttle bus, and we take this super windy drive, 10, 15 minutes deep into Hollywood Hills, into this super cool mansion. And I'm like, yes, I made it. I'm here. So I get off the shuttle. I'm ready to go into this party, and they're checking wristbands again at the front gate, front area. So I just did this work before, do the quick wristband flash, but this time the security guard was much better at his job. So he was like, wait, where's your wristband? I was like, oh no, I don't have one. So I was like, oh yeah, I didn't get a wristband. They're like, what do you mean you didn't get a wristband? You need to check in. So they're like, hey, we got someone without a wristband. They got to go back on the shuttle. They got to go back down and check in. And I'm like, if I get back on the shuttle, I'm not getting back up here. Like, no, I can't do this. So I was like, no, I already checked in. They just didn't give me a wristband. Like, wait, what are you talking about? Everyone should have gotten a wristband. They're like, hold on, what's your name? So I give them my name, and they're calling in. They're like, did Zach Pincince check in? Did this person check in? Blah, blah, blah. So they come back to me, and they're like, all right, you definitely checked in? I was like, yeah. They said, wait, are you one of the artists? I said, of course I'm one of the artists. They're like, oh no, I'm so sorry. Yeah, you're good. Go ahead. Like, you're good. And so thank you. And so I get in, and I'm able to go to this this party and network with some other creators, which was fun. But so it wasn't really hypnotizing my way in where I'm like, you will let me into this party, right? These are not the droids you're looking for. But it was more just being able to use that sort of social confidence and to be like, no, I'm supposed to be in there, because if I acted nervous of like, oh no, I'm so sorry, I'm caught, they would be like, yeah, get this guy out of here, right? But acting like I was supposed to be there and having that confidence of being able like, yes, yeah, I should be here. I did check in. I'm one of the artists. Like, let me in. Like, so.
Do you think that that confidence you're talking about do affirmations work? How do you feel about affirmations?
Affirmations work and they don't, because it depends on how you approach them. Let's say, give me an example of an affirmation of something that you would want to.
I'm strong.
Okay. Yeah. Right. If you use that as an affirmation, the way you said that, that would not work, because
Why?
I am strong
Yeah.
is not believable. You did not believe
No,
it.
I
No
didn't
one
believe
would
it at
believe
all.
it if they said
No.
it, right? Which is fine. But a lot of people tend to approach affirmations as it's just the words.
Well, I'm strong. Well, I'm successful. Well, I'm going to make a lot of money. Well, I can lose weight. Well, I can do whatever I want because I believe in myself, and that's all it takes.
Yeah.
That's just words. That is just lying to yourself at that point. That's not an affirmation. An affirmation is being able to say something with enough conviction that you believe it yourself, and if you told somebody else, that they would believe it as well. So if you are not strong and you want to be, if you tell yourself, I'm strong, yay, clearly I'm strong, and you don't believe it, your mind is just going to be like, stop lying to yourself, you weakling, you're never going to be strong, right? And you're going to argue with it. But if you can find a way to really just take a moment and be like, all right, I am that person, and how would I act and how would I feel if I were a strong person? Or confidence, for example, right? Confidence is all just a mindset. It's all just an idea. There's no real tangible thing as confidence. Confidence is just the idea of believing in yourself, right? Confidence is not, it's not knowing that everyone will like you. Confidence is not caring whether they do. Confidence is knowing that you're okay with yourself. It doesn't matter what other people think. So affirmations can work if you actually believe them, if you make them believably. If you get to this space where you can say, I'm just going to take 30 seconds to 60 seconds to just meditate really quickly on this idea of the person I want to become, and really think and feel how I would think and feel if I truly believed I was that person or had that quality or had that trait, you will start to internalize it. It's kind of like the idea of fake it till you make it, right? But there's another level of that, which is fake it until you become it. If you are not a strong person and you want to be a strong person, well, how would a strong person act and what would they do and what would they feel? Well, maybe a strong person would feel that they're not going to let their emotions get the better of them, and they're going to do what it takes in that moment, even though it's hard. A strong person would say, if I want to get physically strong and go to the gym, I'm going to make that my priority because that's what it takes to achieve that outcome. Versus if you say, oh, I'm strong, your mind's like, well, no, you're not, because you're just sitting on your butt watching Netflix all day and you're not actually working out. But if you say, no, I'm strong and I believe that I'm strong, your mind's like, well, if you believe you're strong, a strong person would start working out and go to the gym. And you're like, well, if I believe that, then I have to do that to align with that belief. So affirmations can, and they do work as long as they are actually believable to you and to the people around them. You can say words you want all day long, but if you don't believe them, nothing will happen, because at the end of the day, hypnosis and life in general is about understanding that we as human beings experience what we believe. So if you want to affirm something positive in your life, you got to believe it to actually experience it. Thank you. I'll take my check now. I appreciate it.
That was great, man. Wow. It's almost like you're a motivational speaker or something.
Almost.
Why are you so passionate about all this stuff?
Well, I think that's something that I've always understood. There's been a part of myself that never wanted to just do what was socially acceptable or just do what other people said I should do, right? I never wanted to have a job where I just did a boring 9 to 5 just to fit in with the status quo. And I've never cared about making money, because most people care about making money to buy stuff they don't need to impress people they don't even like, right?
Right.
So I don't care about that. I want to live life in a way that is authentic, is meaningful. I care more about the person I become along the way versus where I get or the cool things that I've done. And I've certainly had some cool opportunities and achieved some cool things in my life, but but that's never been the priority. I've never cared about that ego or that, oh, look at me and how cool I am. And sometimes that's to the detriment of my own engagement or social following because I'm not posting as consistently as I could, or I'm not posting the best photos or the most edited videos. I'm just kind of putting myself out there as I am because I want to stay true to who I am and the things that I enjoy. And so ultimately, being able to live life in a way that's authentic and is real and that really maximizes the one life that I have to live has always been something that's important to me, which is why I've always really been into psychology and philosophy and life optimization and personal development, because I really want to understand what it takes to be able to make the most out of my life. And I've learned so much of that over my 27 years as a human being on this planet that obviously I still have a lot more to go. And I think true wisdom is knowing that you know nothing at all, right? Like the more you think you know, the less you actually do. So to me, I've certainly learned a lot, but I still also know there's so much that I don't know and have no clue about, and I'm still very much a student, of life. But I think it's really cool that as I've learned a lot of helpful insights along the way, as far as life philosophy and human psychology and behavior and life optimization, I've been able to sort of share those things along the way of making fun motivational videos, or being able to combine that with some of the hypnosis that I do on stage, and being able to sort of tie in, well, sort of there's these entertainment aspects of hypnosis, but there are these real psychological aspects of how the brain works and how our minds are wired to make our life better. And so I love just sort of combining those together, where I can have my fun doing the entertainment stuff, but also being able to tap into that side of me that really cares about optimizing my life and the life of people around me, and being able to share these deeper things. 2 in 1 podcast. No.
Wow. And from that passion, now you're speaking. I've seen you do a couple stage, like, or you've incorporated some of your wisdom and insight of life and your own personal experiences. You've incorporated those into your stage shows. Is that correct?
Yeah, I had one show I did this past year, which was really cool. I got the opportunity to do a show for Russell Brunson, who's a very famous online marketer. And he found out about me because his kids were big fans of my videos. Like, they saw my stuff on TikTok and watched it all the time. And so he knew who I was because his kids knew who I was. So he invited me to come do a show for one of his events. And because I knew he's in the world of personal development and motivation, like, I asked him, I said, hey, I'd love to come do a show. Is there any way for me to be able to do a talk the following day where I can follow up my show and say, hey, here's the cool, fun things you saw last night, but here's how you can sort of take some of this more seriously and use it to make your life better? He said, yeah, sure. Like, you can start the next day and give a 30-minute talk to sort of kick off the day. And so that was the first time I've gotten the opportunity to do a talk that was all motivational speaking. Like, I incorporate elements into my shows, but that was the first time I got to do a full-on talk. And you can see that video is up on my YouTube if you guys want to see it. But it was really cool to be able to do that, and it went really, really well. I didn't script it or write a talk. I just kind of went off of my instinct and let it all out as it came out. And it went so well. And it was not only great to see just how good I felt after the show, of knowing that I crushed it and it went well and I was able to share some great insight and wisdom, but how many people that came up to me afterwards and said, that was so good, that stuck with me. Like, I'll never forget this quote that you said.
There it is again.
I'll never forget that idea. Wow. And there was one really cool moment
good
where
feedback.
Later in that day, they were doing sort of like a sharing moment where they were like, can you all just quickly, we're going to pass around like a little mic, and I want a few of you to share something that stuck out with you from the speakers earlier in the day, or things that you'll remember or take away from this event. And there was a lot of younger kids at this event, because it was, parents being able to take some of their teenage, middle school age kids, high school kids, to learn about entrepreneurship and how they could, make money on their own. And there was this little young girl that stood up. She was maybe 8 or 9 years old. She kind of stood up and took the mic, and she said, I really liked when Zach talked, and when Zach said that you can't fail because you'll win or you'll learn, and that really stuck with me.
Oh,
I was like,
sweet.
oh, like, you got it. Like, exactly. Like, that's why I do this. And so it was just really cool to see. There were a lot of moments like that where people shared with me, like, that thing you said really stuck with me, and I really will remember that. And that was the first time that I had done something like that. And so there will definitely, hopefully, be a lot more opportunities to be able to do more of that in this coming year and the rest of my career, and kind of see where things go. But I'm doing a TED Talk next month, which will be very exciting.
No
So
way.
excited for that.
No way.
Yeah.
What's it going to be on? Can we get a sneak peek? This
Well-
might actually come out right while you're.
Right around the same
Yeah,
time.
right around the same time.
I'm doing it on February 1st, but I don't know when they're posting it or when it will be out afterwards. But it'll be about some of the similar things we've talked about power of belief and hypnosis and psychology. And so, yeah, it'll be fun.
That's so exciting.
So I am, a very cool opportunity.
I mean, so many people like go through life with that on their to-do list, like before they die type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people saying this 2023, like I'd love to do a TED Talk. It's very cool. How did you get that opportunity? Just
They reached out to me. They got an email saying, "Hey, we're doing this TEDx event here in Santa Barbara, not too far. Like, could you come be one of the speakers at this event?" Absolutely. Yeah.
Can I go? No, if you get an extra, or if I could buy a ticket, I would love to go.
Yeah, I don't know if
Totally.
that's something that's open to the public or what that looks like, but I can
I
find
know.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's February. Santa Barbara. How is that close by?
It's a couple hours away, but
All right. All right. So I had a question about your own personal life. You were talking about self-optimization. Okay. And I'd love to hear more about that from you. Do you have any hypnosis techniques that you personally use throughout the day that you think about? Maybe you're brushing your teeth and you're saying, are you saying something to yourself in the morning or throughout for lunch? Do you have any sort of routine that you have in place, that you've set up? Like, how do you, is there a list of things that you follow to create a great life and that you're following right now?
yeah, yes and no. I mean, I don't have a super long list of habits I do every day. I don't wake up at 5 a.m. I'm not in the gym 2 hours a day, right? So I don't have this routine and structure that a lot of people do, where they're like, every day I do this and every day I'm doing this and this is my plan and I'm always doing these things.
Yeah.
So I'm very much a kind of go with the flow type person, and every day looks different. One day I'm doing a podcast, one day I'm editing videos, one day I'm doing a show, one day I'm doing a collab, one day I'm just hanging out playing board games with friends, right? Like, so I like that my life can look very different day to day. But I think a lot of the insight and optimization comes in those moments, right? Like, I think about the learning that we all do can either come from a place of being proactive or reactive, right? Like, if we get in a situation where we are always angry all the time and always losing our temper, and we realize, like, all right, we need to do something about this, you realize you need to improve your life in a reactive way because you're always reacting a certain way and you need to do something about the way that you are. Or you can learn in a way where before you even get to those situations, you're learning proactively, where you're like, if I'm ever in this situation where I would get really frustrated, this is maybe a healthier way to approach that. So if you're in a situation that would make you angry, instead of just flipping out like you usually would do, you're like, well, I remember reading about this, or I remember learning about this, or I heard about this in a podcast, and this insight now helps me in that moment. So for me, a lot of the learning that I've done is become proactive to the point where if I'm in situations that are challenging, or if my mind's getting the best of me, or if I'm in those tough situations, I can fall back on a lot of that insight or knowledge or some of these ideas that I've learned, and I can really allow them to, really take hold of that moment where that moment isn't taking hold of me. And a lot of people will ask, well, what's the number one book you'd recommend or podcast you listen to, or what's one resource I can learn to be able to learn all that you know? And I always say,
you say Breakout Creator every single time.
Breakout Creator. Just listen to this episode 10 times and you will be me.
That's it.
It's just the way that it goes. But no, I always say the answer is all of them. And that's not the answer people want to hear, but it's all of them, because there's not one book or one podcast or one video that has caused this crazy insight. Right. It's a combination of all of them. And a lot of times when people ask me, like, wow, that was a really good insight, where did you hear that? I don't know. I read it in one of the books, but I've read hundreds of books on psychology and philosophy at this point, or I heard it in one podcast, and I don't always remember where I heard certain things or where I learned certain things, but it's all just become sort of an amalgamation of ideas and thoughts and philosophy that's just become baked into the person that I am. But I will give one helpful insight, because I know you sort of asked, like, about practices, and I don't have a lot, because again, it is more just sort of the proactive response to the things I've learned allow themselves to just come out in those situations. But I know something that a lot of people struggle with is, self-doubt and
Mm.
negative thinking.
Yeah.
They're in situations where they get really stressed or they get really anxious. And when you're in those moments, it's really, really important to remember that those thoughts in your head are just thoughts, and they are not your thoughts. Those thoughts are not you. They don't come from you. They have nothing to do with you. You don't know where that thought came from. It just showed up. But you'll appreciate this as a surfer. Your thoughts are sort of like the waves in the ocean, right?
Mm.
You can't control when the waves are coming or how big the waves are or what they are, but you can control and choose which ones to surf, which ones to ride, or which ones to let just pass you by. So if you are really getting overwhelmed with negative thinking and negative thoughts, and you're having a thought that's, oh, well, you're no good, you're not good enough, you're never going to be anything, you're just an imposter, no one likes you, no one cares about you. That thought is not you. That is just an idea that popped into your head, and you can choose to believe that thought or not.
Mm.
If a thought popped into your head that said, Dominic, you are a purple unicorn, you know it, you are a very purple unicorn, and you will always be one. You would be like, no, okay, sure, whatever. That's a thought. And,
You know what I think people struggle with though is so let's just take the purple unicorn. If I told myself I was a purple unicorn for the next 20 years, that thought is going to be a lot tougher for someone to let go of. Maybe they don't even remember the source of it came from.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't know how to.
Well,
yeah.
If you tell yourself for that long, that means you believed it to an extent,
Mm.
right? The reason that if I told you you're a purple unicorn now, you would be like, no, and you don't believe it, and you ignored it, and you let something else kind of come in and replace it, right?
Yeah.
But if you were to continually tell yourself, well, you're a purple unicorn over and over, you're like, I believe it. I am the purple unicorn, right? You just let yourself become immersed in that thought, and maybe you believe it, and you're immersed in that. And you might parallel that with somebody believing that they're not good enough.
Right.
And they tell themselves,
what
I'm
I'm-
not good enough, I'm not
exactly.
good enough, I'm not good enough, I never will be, I'm not loved, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
And that is equally as untrue as telling yourself you are a purple unicorn. But if you believe it, you will still feel like it's true. So the way that you overcome that false, that limiting, that incorrect belief, call it fake news if you want as well too, right? Whatever helps. But that incorrect belief system, you have to replace it with something new. But the way that our mind is wired is we're in a cycle of beliefs and experiences, right? That's how we be, right? And we have a belief, an idea that pops into our head, and then we experience something that reinforces that belief, right? So if we say, oh, I'm not good enough and I'm not loved, we're going to find an experience that aligns itself with that belief and say, well, yeah, see, there was this one moment where I was in a conversation and someone ignored me, and that proves I'm not good enough because in that moment they ignored me and they didn't do anything about it. And that experience reinforces that belief, and then you believe it even more and believe it even deeper, and you find another experience that aligns itself with that belief. And then that experience creates that belief even stronger, and it just creates this cycle of belief and experience, and solidifies this belief in your mind and who you become.
Mm.
But if you want to disrupt that pattern, you have to start on either end. You start either on the end of the belief or the end of the experience. So if you start on the end of the belief, you say, all right, well, if I am enough, how would I think if I were enough? And how would I feel if I were enough? And what might I do if I were enough? Because when you think about what you might do if you were enough, what you'll do is you'll create a new experience for yourself. And you'll say, I believe I am enough. And if I believed I am enough, what would I do about that? And you would do something that would prove to yourself that you are enough. You would be in a situation with somebody maybe like this, where you're like, look, I'm making an awesome podcast called Breakout Creator. And even if it doesn't get a lot of views right away, it's really cool. And I'm putting myself out there and sharing great insights with the world. And I'm not doing it because this means any validation for your self-worth, but because you love to do it and because it's important to you, then that's what matters. And that proves you are enough because you're doing what you care about, regardless of what people think about. And that's an experience for you that you've created in yourself. And that experience will make your belief stronger, saying, you know what? That experience proves to me that I'm maybe just a little bit more enough than I thought I was before. And if I'm a little bit more enough than I thought I was before, I can find another experience. And that other experience will validate that belief even just a little bit more. And that will make me create another experience, and so on and so forth. You can create this cycle of beliefs and experiences to really replace this old limiting belief. And with enough time, because it doesn't happen overnight, you can't just be like, I am now enough and I always will be, and forever I will never think that I am not enough. And it takes time. It takes time because this belief and experience cycle doesn't happen overnight. But with enough time, with enough repetition, proving to yourself, both in your mind, but also doing something about those thoughts and ideas, you will then build up a new identity, and you will build up a new persona, and you will become a new person. Because ultimately, as Ralph Waldo Emerson, the old poet, once said, the only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. The third round of applause.
Third round of applause. Wow.
I'm keeping tally the applause track. Ding, ding. Right?
Wow. Wow, that was amazing. That was awesome. I wish we had an audience to get questions from that to help out.
Well, if you were in the audience and you were hearing that for the first time, what question might you have about what you just heard?
Well, I was trying to play. I was listening to what you said, but I was trying to consider maybe what a skeptic might say to that. Just to play.
Yes.
Yes, just
devil's
to play.
advocate.
But then I realized also that you explained it so perfectly, it like just makes sense. So it's
well,
and also the intensity of which you said it created that. It actually felt like what you're saying was happening in real time. The saying the negative thought and then the repetitive and speeding it up and just the constant over and overness of it, and then the calmness after.
Slightly hypnotic in a way.
It was slightly hypnotic. So maybe I was stuck in a little bit of a trance just listening to that. And that's maybe you're hypnotizing me to do a clap at the end. I don't know.
Perhaps.
No.
See, and a lot of what I do could be even thought about is, people say, oh, it's so cool that you can hypnotize people. But one of the neat things about what I do, and especially being able to explain some of the psychology and deeper philosophy, is that in a way, I'm really unhypnotizing a lot of people. I'm helping them to get rid of their old previous beliefs and doubts and fears and anxiety and worry. It's a belief system that's caused them to become a person that they are not happy with and that causes them to suffer. But they don't have to be that person. Those beliefs don't have to stay there. Just because you believe something does not make it true. It just means you believe it. And when people can take the responsibility for their belief system, doesn't mean it's your fault. Fault and responsibility are two very different things, right? Because something happened to you, it doesn't mean it's your fault or you did that. But you can still take responsibility and say, even if this wasn't my fault, even if I didn't choose this, or even if someone else did this to me, it's still my responsibility to learn from it, to grow from it, to not let that become who I am. Right? You might have had the worst parents in the world who gave you all of this horrible trauma and experience, and that's not your fault. You didn't choose that. That was on your parents. But it's still on you, or it's still on us as the individual to take that responsibility and say, even though I didn't choose this, even though it wasn't my fault that this happened to me, it is my responsibility to not stay this way. It is my responsibility to grow from it, to become a better person from it, and to understand that that is an old belief system and an old pattern of thinking that was given to me by my parents, by my upbringing, by my life, whatever it may be. And you can still choose to replace that pattern with something that would be more helpful. Again, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not easy. It's not a snap my fingers, you're hypnotized to be a new person. Congratulations. Write me my check and I'm on my way, right? I really wish it was that easy. And a lot of people message me assuming that it will be. And they're like, please hypnotize me and solve all of my problems and make my life perfect. I'm like, it's not. I don't have a magic wand. I wish I could just sprinkle some fairy dust over your head and you're suddenly a new person, right? But it takes work. It's like doing therapy. You don't go in to see a therapist and assume they're just going to fix all your problems. But a therapist is a partner in a way to help you and work with you, work on yourself to become better. So taking that responsibility is just one of the most important things. If you're somebody that's listening to this right now and you're not where you want to be, one of the biggest steps to overcoming that is how can you take responsibility for where you are right now and do something about it. You don't have to stay stuck. Getting to where you were right now was not your choice, but staying stuck is. So don't choose to stay stuck. Choose to break out, creator.
I'm not paying him to say that. Not paying him to shout it out either.
That's improv, baby.
Dang. Oh, tell me a little bit about your improv background. What is improv?
Well, yes, and I will tell you more. See what I did there? I'm so good. Also, so
improv is tough.
It is. No, I started learning when I was a senior in college. Around the same time I started doing hypnosis because I was really wanting to get into more types of entertaining and performing. So I joined an improv troupe that was just starting on campus. It was literally me and the two people who were starting it. Like, I was walking in the student union building on campus and I saw a sign on the door that said Fringe Comedy. I was like, I've never heard of this comedy group on campus. What's going on?
It's Fringe.
So I kind of poked my head in the door and I was like, hey, what is this? A new comedy group? They're like, yeah, we just started. This is our first meeting. Do you want to join? I was like, I can't right now, but I will be back next week and I will be a part of your group. And I came back the next week and started practicing with them. And I sucked when I started because I was so in my head and not able to just kind of let loose and be free. But the more I started working on it and practicing, the more I just became a habit to just be willing to experiment and adapt and go on the fly. And especially as I learned hypnosis, again, hypnosis is a lot of improvising and being willing to adapt as a situation unfolds. And I took a few classes since I've been out here in LA as well too, at the West Side Comedy Theater out here in Santa Monica when I lived here. So it's been something that's been a very fun part of what I do. And even though, you know, comedy isn't my main thing, like I'm not trying to become an improv or sketch comedian, that still just has become a big part of just improving my life as a speaker, as a hypnotist, as a performer, as a creator, in all of these ways. And I always tell people that improv is one of the, if not the best skill that you can learn, that is also the most fun to learn. Right? Anything else, you got to take a class, or if you want to learn a new language, you're kind of sitting and learning a language, or if you want to learn a program, you're sitting taking these programming online classes. But improv, you're just playing games and you're just letting loose and you're just having fun. But it's teaching you to be comfortable with just letting go and letting loose and being willing to just say the first thing that comes into your mind. And even if it's not correct, you can fix it and you can, you know, go with the flow. And so improv is one of those things that is the most fun thing you can do that will also be the most valuable thing you can do, because it can just permeate into any area of your life and it will make you a better person in whatever you do. So I can't recommend improv enough, whether you are, you know, a programmer or a doctor or a singer or a creator or whatever that you do. Improv is great. So go take a fun improv class or something.
Do you have any other hobbies besides improv and hypnosis that you can tell us about?
Yeah, so over the course of the pandemic, when I couldn't do shows and I was just sitting in my room bored all the time, I decided to pick up a new hobby where I decided, hey, I want to teach myself how to sing, because I always loved doing karaoke, but I never had a good singing voice. I always sounded terrible, and you can watch some early videos on YouTube to see how terrible I sounded if you would like. But I could not sing, and so I decided I would learn how to sing. So I said, I'm going to sing for an hour a day. Do 30 minutes of like vocal exercises and warm-ups, and then just sing like 6 or 7 karaoke songs on YouTube. So 30 minutes of warm-ups, 30 minutes of songs, about an hour of singing a day. So I started doing that every day for a couple weeks. I thought, oh, this has been fun. I'll keep it going for a few months. Kept it going for a few months. I thought, oh, this has been good. I'll keep it going into the end of the year, into the end of 2020. And through the end of 2020, this is going well. I'll keep it going to the whole year. I'm about to make it a full 365 days of singing an hour a day every day. After a full year, I was like, I can't stop at a full year. This is going great. Let's keep it going. So I kept it going a few more months, kept it going into the end of 2021, kept it going into 2 years, kept it going a little longer than that, and into the end of 2022, and the end of this past year, and hit just over 1,000 days of singing for an hour a day, every single day. It's been a pretty crazy journey. It's been a wild ride. I started taking singing lessons and working with a private teacher as well last year. So I've been doing weekly lessons for the second half of those 1,000 days.
Wow.
Which has been great. So that was just a hobby that kind of came out of nowhere, and there was no talent. There was no skill that was sort of the back of that, right? Some people are like, oh, I was always sung since I was 3 years old. I've always had a talent for it or a passion for it or skill for it. I didn't have any of that. I just decided I wanted to learn how to sing and figure it out and improve my voice and grow my range. And when I was first starting out, I wasn't even on pitch. I couldn't even hit the right notes. I barely had any sort of range. I thought when I was first starting that I was like barely a baritone, and now I'm easily a tenor, and I'm even growing the range beyond that, where I'm like, okay, yeah, this is I've built a lot more of a range than I thought I was going to, over this time. But that's been a really fun hobby that I've, been doing for over 1,000 days at this point. And as starting into the new year, I intentionally broke the streak where I didn't sing on the first day of the new year, so that I would stop the streak of like having to do it for 1,000 days. Because when I had that momentum, I was like, all right, I have to sing every single day. So there'll be shows where I'd have to wake up 5 a.m. to go travel, fly out, do a show. I'm traveling for 12 hours.
Yeah.
I land and do my show at 7 p.m. I do my show, and at 10 p.m. before I'm going to bed after my show, I'm doing my hour of singing from 10 to 11. I'm like, I don't want to sing at the end of the day, but I have to do it, right?
Sure.
So there have been some days where, or there's some days where I don't really have a voice, or I'm feeling sick, and I'm like, I don't really want to sing, but I can't break the streak. I got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So after I hit 1,000 days, I intentionally took a day off where I was like, all right, now the streak is broken. There's no pressure to have to do it every day.
Interesting.
I'm still going to keep singing almost every day.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, all right, if I'm traveling all day, or if I have a day where it's inconvenient to do it, then that's fine. I won't. But I'm still doing singing lessons going into this year. I'm still continuing to grow myself and my ability. And it's been really, really fun. I just posted a video, which you talked about, that I posted a few days ago, my journey of 1,000 days of singing. And
Highly recommend.
I
Highly recommend.
posted, I appreciate that. I posted singing covers once a month of me just uploading a video of me singing a song I liked. It wasn't a song that I could sing. It wasn't a song that was in my range. It was just, I like this pop song, so I will sing it, even if it doesn't sound good. And so I would just do once a month, end of 2020. So doing that for a little over 2 years, a monthly singing progress video. And so for my 1,000 days of singing, I took the first 3 singing progress videos I did and sang them again and put them back to back. So it kind of goes back and forth between me singing bad at the beginning to me singing a lot better now. So
I think if you posted that on TikTok, it would do very well.
we'll see. I posted a smaller version of that on TikTok that got like 2,000 views. So, but maybe I'll try posting different variations of it.
Okay, so, wow, there's so many things we could actually talk about.
Yes.
What would you like to talk more about? More about habits or more about social media?
Let's keep it going with the habit stuff.
Yeah,
You
okay.
get a lot of people here talking about social media, but maybe not everyone talks about habits. So.
Yeah, but you're in a unique situation because you're a hypnotist and a performer.
You mean you don't talk with hypnotists every day?
No.
Okay.
But I did talk to a guy yesterday was here at your Krav Maga. We talked about habits and the power of streaks. And
Yeah.
so it's very interesting that you have a similar mindset about it. And it's actually related to hypnosis. And yeah. I don't really have a question about it, though.
No?
I'll think of one.
Well, I mean, and I just made a TikTok video a few days ago that didn't got like 1,000 views. It didn't do that well, but I made a quick motivational video about, hey, going into the new year, don't set goals for yourself. Set habits instead, because everybody just sets goals and they're like,
Yes.
I want to lose weight. I want to go to the gym more. I want to be healthier. I want to do this and that and that. And they set a goal and they might do something about it for the first week or two. And we all know gym memberships skyrocket in January and then they're back to normal in February because everyone goes for a week or two and they lose momentum and they just forget about it. But if you want to actually achieve your goal, don't set the goal. Set the habit instead. If you want to lose weight, instead of saying, I want to lose weight, I want to go to the gym, I want to be healthier, that's just vague. Like, what does that even mean? How do you quantify that? Do you want to lose a little bit of weight, a lot of weight? You want to work out a lot, a little? Do you want to build muscle? Like, what are you trying to do? You just want to get healthier, sure. But if you want to set a habit of saying, hey, I'm going to go to the gym for 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, 15 minutes a day, whatever it is, create a habit for yourself that this is now going to be a part of my day going forward. Then you'll do it for a couple days. You'll build some momentum. You'll build a streak and you'll sort of gamify it for yourself where you're like, all right, well, I did it for 2 weeks. I can't interrupt that momentum. I want to do it for another week or another month. Like when I started my 1,000 days of singing, I wasn't planning on doing 1,000 days. And if you told me from the get-go, you're going to do this from 1,000 days, I'm going to be like, nah, I'm out. I'm not, I couldn't do this for 1,000 days, right? But as the quote goes, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the single step, right? One day at a time. So how do you create a new goal or a new habit for yourself? You just say, what are you going to do today? What's your habit for today? I'm going to go to the gym and make it as easy as possible to achieve. If you want to work out more and you want to go to the gym, you can say, I'm going to set a habit to go to the gym for an hour a day. Some days you might not want to go for an hour. Some days you might be busy and it might be hard. But if you say, every day I will go to the gym for 5 minutes, 5 minutes, even if I do just a couple push-ups, lift a couple weights, and that's it. That's my whole workout. 5 minutes. And the funny thing about habits is once you start, the hardest part is starting. Once you start, you want to do more. If you say, I'm going to go to the gym for 5 minutes, 5 minutes, that's it. That's all. You're like, all right, I did 5 minutes. I'm already here. I might as well do a full 30-minute workout. Or I already did 30 minutes. Why I just might run a little longer and we'll make it a full hour, or whatever it is, right? Make it as easy as possible for you to create that momentum. Because the hardest part's always getting started. Once you get started, once you get your foot in the door, once you create some momentum for yourself where you're like, I did it for a week straight, for a couple weeks straight, for a few months straight. Now you're like, this isn't just a habit anymore. This is who I've become. This is who I am now. This is just part of my day. No matter what, I always find a way to make this happen, right? Yeah, ultimately, your life will either be the things that you intentionally create or the things that you passively allow. And most people just allow their lives to just passively go by them, and they just are so reactive to, well, this happens or this got in the way and this is that, and they just become whatever happens to them, right? So you can either let yourself become who you passively allow, or you can become who you intentionally create. And that process starts by creating habits instead of goals, because goals are vague and goals are easy to just forget about and slip away. But if you create a habit, it will create momentum, and momentum will create consistency, and consistency will create new character. Oh, thank you.
Wow. Do you think sleep is important?
Yes, absolutely. Now, I've always been a proponent of getting 8 hours of sleep. I think there are some people who maybe need less, who maybe need more. So I say listen to your body. I used to be kind of judgmental about myself when I would sleep in, especially if I would sleep in really late. Like, oh, I wasted my whole morning or I wasted my whole day. But get the sleep you need. I used during the pandemic when we didn't have anything to do, I would always be like staying up till 4 or 5 a.m. and sleeping in till like noon or 1. And I would feel bad about myself of like, oh man, I wasted the whole morning. There's no morning. It's like, well, but I was up really late. I still lived the same amount of life, right? I still, whether I'm sleeping 8 hours from 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. or 5 a.m., whatever that would be, right?
Yeah.
Or whether I'm sleeping 4 a.m. to noon, that's still 8 hours of sleep. So now it's a little bit healthier where I'll go to bed. Like I went to bed around 1 last night, got up around 9. So I still stay up a little late, but not crazy late, right? So, but to me, it's like, oh, I don't usually set an alarm unless there's something that like I have a flight where I need to get up for it.
Wow.
Because I want to let myself get the amount of sleep that I need. And I let myself wake up naturally. I understand if a lot of people have a job they have to get to, then they can't do that. They have to set an alarm. But at that point, know what your body needs. Start to recognize if you're constantly waking up tired in the morning, go to bed a little bit earlier. Like let yourself get the sleep that you need. We still don't understand fully why we sleep, why we dream. Like it's a strange evolutionary design that we spend a third of our lives in this unconscious state. Like we don't fully know why or the full benefits of it. But in the same way that like we know the placebo effect works, we don't know why. We really understand that if you don't get a lot of sleep, it is very, very detrimental to your health. So even though we don't fully understand exactly what sleep is doing for you when you're in that state, we know it's something important. And so we know it is very important to get sleep. So it's something I absolutely recommend. Like you're not wasting your life. You're not sleeping away. People say, oh, I'll sleep when you're dead. Like, well, you'll be dead a lot sooner if you don't sleep, right? Like, so get the sleep that you need, get the rest that your body deserves. And whether you're sleeping from, the morning hours or the late hours, whether you're an early bird or a night owl or whatever it is, I don't care about the 5 a.m. club. Some people are proponents of 5 a.m. club. Go to bed at 8 p.m. Wake up at 5 a.m. Do you still do that? Do you still get up pretty early?
I do.
Okay. And I know that there's no right or wrong way to do it. That's not the best way. That's not the worst way. Like it's a way. Like and so, but as long as you're staying true to like what works, if that works great for you, then awesome. That works great for you. And I wouldn't tell you to do anything otherwise because that's what works well for you. So to everyone listening, like you kind of know who you are. And if you're someone that has a lot of energy late at night, like sometimes that can be me. Like last night, I kind of was a little sluggish during the day, and then I sort of hit a second wind after dinner, 9 p.m. I was editing some videos, cranking out some content till midnight, and I was like, oh, I just got a lot of work done for 3 hours when a lot of people might be asleep. But that's just kind of the way I am. Is sometimes I can have more motivation or energy at that later time at night. And I went to bed at 1 and got up at 9. And so know yourself. I said that a few times, but know yourself, know what's best for you, and listen to your body. That's the most important thing. Like if you're constantly tired, give yourself permission to be able to sleep more because your body really does need that. Otherwise, it wouldn't be asking for it.
Okay. In our industry, creator burnout is a real problem for a lot of creators. Have you ever experienced any creator burnout, and how have you dealt with it?
Yeah, that's a great question.
And also how could we use hypnosis to deal with it a little bit better?
Yeah.
All right. Gotta crack the fingernail. Gotta crack the. Let's get into it. Let's wait. I'm ready for the applause. I'm ready.
Oh, all right. So, yeah, I mean, I would say I experienced a good amount of burnout right before the pandemic. So in a weird way, it was a good forced break because And I think this is true for a lot of people. They didn't realize how hard they were working until the pandemic forced them to stop working.
Totally, man.
And I was like, wow, okay. I was doing a lot.
Yeah.
And I think I was allowing myself to ride that momentum of I was doing these shows, I was doing these collabs, I was constantly doing a lot. And then when I was forced to take a break and couldn't do these shows and collabs, I was kind of like, wow, like I was doing a lot.
Like, what is my purpose?
Yeah, right. But also it was like, yeah, if I can't be doing these collabs and I don't have these videos to post anymore, like to me, I took several months off during the pandemic from posting, which really killed my engagement and stopped my viewership. And it's disappointing from like a career perspective or a productivity perspective, like because my engagement's never been the same since I took that break on TikTok, and YouTube or other platforms for that matter. But in a way, it sort of forced me to think about, well, who do I want to be and what do I want sort of my life to look like if this wasn't a part of it? Where it's like, yeah, I could just be doing this endless cycle of shows and content and collabs, but if I wasn't doing that, what would I want to do? And it sort of, forced me to take a step back. And that was around the time that I started, adding singing to what I do and learning how to sing, and around the time where I started getting more into doing the motivational side of things and experimenting with other types of content and being willing to be a little more true to just the type of things that made me excited, even if it didn't always get the views that I thought it would. Because I think, and I was definitely guilty of this for a while, and I think a lot of creators still tend to think this way, but they think in terms of what will get the most views or what will go viral or how can I work in a way that will make me famous or get me subscribers or followers or view count. And they're not thinking about doing what fills them up, what lights them, what makes them alive. They're thinking about doing what will make them go viral. And you know more than most that you can't count on the algorithm to make you go viral. You could have the best video in the world and the algorithm could be like, not today, and not let it get views, because that's just kind of the way it is. So you can't be focused on the views. You can't be focused on the virality. You have to be focused on doing what you love, doing what makes you excited to create, because that's the reward. As much as going viral, getting views, getting followers is nice, and it can be a good reward, both monetarily and like from a fulfillment standpoint, that can't be the ultimate goal, right? It's not about how far you get. It's about who you become in the process. It's about doing the things that light you up, doing the things that make you feel alive. And I'll say this about burnout. If you're someone that is feeling burnt out listening to this, then the reason that you are feeling burnt out is not because you are doing too much. It's because you are doing too little of what makes you feel alive.
There it is. I knew it was coming.
Yep. Something I've said before, and it's one of my favorite thoughts on the idea of burnout, but I'll say that one more time for the people listening. You are not burnt out because you are doing too much. You are burnt out because you are doing too little of what makes you feel alive. So if you are feeling that, if you are stuck in that burnout, if you just feel like you've become a slave to the algorithm and the posting and the consistency, it's okay to stop. It's okay to take a break, but do what fills you up. Do what makes you excited. And ultimately, you'll get to the point where people will enjoy your content for you, for who you are in it. That passion is contagious. People can tell when someone makes something because they made it because they just had to, because they thought it would go viral, or because they made it when that's exciting and it's fun.
Yeah.
And if you scroll through the For You page, a lot of the videos you see are viral are simple videos that were easy to film, that are not edited. It's just, oh, this is a quick, fun moment. Why did it go viral? Sure, it was a fun concept, but maybe because it was created with love, even if it was unintentionally. Oh, this is just this is a fun moment. This is cool. People will enjoy this. Versus, okay, I got to film this at the perfect angle and do this. This will go viral. People see through that, right? People want to see your authenticity on the internet. They want to know, who you are. We live in a world that is so full of fakeness that people are hungry for something real. People are hungry for you to be real. So the more, not to be on Be Real, but just to be real, or to be TikTok now, right? Whatever.
TikTok now. Yeah.
Be TikTok now, right? Just do what you love. And that's contagious. That comes across. And even if it doesn't get the same viewership total, it's more fulfilling. It's more rewarding. And isn't that the point? Isn't the point for you to be fulfilled and for you to live a life that makes you happy? It's a real shame to live in a way where you make everyone else happy but yourself. And that's where, like, you see, it's been a really interesting thing, being in this industry where I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of big celebrities and big names and really famous people. And to people that aren't in this industry, they might be shocked to know that almost all of the biggest celebrities you know are really sad, are really depressed. They're really not happy with who they are inside because they spend their whole life living for the approval of others and the fame and the virality and the moments, and it's just not fulfilling to them. It's like Jim Carrey once said, I wish everybody could achieve all the fame and success they ever wanted so that they would know that that's not the answer, that that's not it. Right? It's about doing what makes you feel alive. It's about doing what fulfills you. And if you're not doing that, it's very easy to get burnt out. So I'll say it one more time, make sure it sinks in. But the reason that you may feel burned out is not because you're doing too much, because you're doing too little of what makes you feel alive. Well, I've conditioned you at this point.
Yes,
Like
I'm
Pavlov's
conditioned. I'm
dog.
Pavlov
Yeah,
over
yeah.
here. Okay, so we talked about creative burnout. What is your favorite show that you've ever done? Like your stage show. Do you have a particular favorite one? Any standout?
I mean, that show for Tony Robbins was pretty great. It was really fun. Not just for the fact that I got to do a show for Tony and just that opportunity, and the fact that like afterwards Tony was like, "You were awesome. Your stage presence is amazing." And I'm like,
Wow.
"You telling me
Oh my
that my
gosh.
stage, like you're the king of stage presence, Tony." Like the fact that like, oh man, that was such a great compliment. But the be able to do that show, but it was just also so much fun too. Like I had people on the stage hypnotized to think they were Tony Robbins in front of Tony, so they were impersonating him in front of him, and it was just so much fun. But that was definitely a highlight for sure. That's one that will stick out for sure.
Okay, your favorite video you've ever posted on TikTok, social media.
Ooh. I mean, the beach hypnosis video I first did at Venice Beach was the first one that made me go viral, so that one sticks out a lot. The tarantula one was pretty cool. You were there.
Yeah.
You helped film that
Yep.
one too for Brent Rivera's channel. We hypnotized.
Let's talk about that for a second. Yeah.
Yeah.
What had happened in that one?
So I did a video with Brent Rivera, who a lot of you might know is a creator on YouTube, TikTok.
Yeah.
And we hypnotized a couple of his friends. One of his friends, Davey, who's very scared of spiders. And so Brent brought a tarantula in to be used for the video in case that opportunity came up. And so we hypnotized Davey to think that it was not a tarantula, but a cute, cuddly hamster because he loves hamsters and little pets. And so we gave him this tarantula, and he was holding it up and calling it buddy and kissing it and snuggling with it. And then afterwards, we showed him the video of it, and he was like, "What? Did I do that? I kissed a spider? Oh my goodness!" And it was a very, very unique video for sure. But that's one that sticks out a lot as well. It's hard to pick one singular favorite, but there are moments like that sort of stand out where I'm like, "Oh, that one was fun. That one was cool. That was pretty neat."
Why do you think people don't remember the hypnosis after the fact?
It's like a dream because to them, they're in the state where it doesn't seem believable. It's like when you have a dream and something crazy happens, your mind rationalizes like that was so far-fetched, there's no way that could be true. So people remember it to an extent, but their brain sort of categorizes it in a different place where they're like, no, okay, that didn't actually happen. Did I imagine it? Did I make that up? Because the brain is actually not the best at filtering between imagination, filtering between memories, filtering between reality, and it's very easy for us to get them distorted and mixed up. If you think about memory, like most people think memory is just like a snapshot where, photographic memory, you take a picture and you remember exactly what happened. Memory is literally just you reimagining that scenario. And memory can easily be warped or distorted by people telling you false stories of like, oh, remember, like as a magician, when I used to do magic, there are times where you'd do a trick where you would say, you shuffle the cards once, you do a trick and you don't shuffle them a second time, but you would tell them, so I shuffled the cards both times and this happened, and people will remember it. They'll tell the story. He shuffled the cards both times. It didn't actually happen, but because I told them that they did, they remembered that they did, and that is how they remember the situation. So it makes it even more magical and crazy for them because I just simply told something different that became how they remember the situation. So memory is just a reimagination of the scenario that can easily be influenced. So when you're thinking about, what happened and was I hypnotized? you're not remembering it exactly as it happened. Your brain is trying to piece together, was it imagined? Was it real? What was real? What happened? What was in my head? And so the brain tends to be like, well, that must not have been true or a dream, so it's not really worth remembering or recalling because it probably didn't actually happen. And then when you show them a video, the mind's like, oh, wait a minute. If there was a video, it must have actually been real. Oh, I did that? Oh, okay, cool. And then they process it as they should. But yeah, it's
Is there anything about hypnosis that surprises you?
yeah, I mean, I think I'm still sort of hitting those boundaries of like being able to surpass certain things of like, well, how far can you really take it and how far can you really go? I actually just posted a video where I scheduled it to go up at noon, so it should be up now on YouTube, where I posted a video called does hypnosis disprove free will?
Ooh.
Can hypnosis overcome the boundaries
interesting.
of free will? It's an interesting philosophical experiment that I did at a few of my recent shows, where I had people do something that you normally wouldn't do in your day-to-day life. I had them take off one of their shoes and wear it as a hat. And not something you would typically be like,
No.
I'm going to decide to do this. Here, there's a shoe, just plop it on my head as a hat, right? But what I did is I framed it in a way where they were in a state of hypnosis. So I said, when you open your eyes, you will take off one of your shoes and you'll put it on your head as a hat. But you will think that you chose to do that. You will not remember that I told you to do that. It will feel like a completely free decision that you chose to take off one of your shoes and wear it as a hat. I pulled them out of hypnosis. All of them take off their shoe, put it on their head, and I ask each and every one of them, "What? Why did you do that?" "Oh, I just wanted to do that. I thought it looked good." "Oh, well, that's just the new fashion now is shoes on the head." All of them. "No, I chose to do that. No, that was my choice. No, I wanted to wear my shoe as a hat." The audience knows, the people watching knows that it was influenced, that I had them in a state of hypnosis where I created that suggestion. But in that moment, they were like, that was completely my choice. That was what I wanted to do. And I put my shoe on my head. And they all justified it for different reasons. Some were like, clearly it looks good. Some were like, it's fashion. And I would say, isn't it weird that nobody in the audience is doing it? And they're like, no, they're the weird ones for not doing it. Like, you guys put your shoes on your head. What are you doing? And they would justify their new belief.
Wow.
But they would identify with it so much that it makes you wonder, like, all right, do we have free will, or are we just influenced by the people around us to make decisions that we just justify as our own, and we assume and we call that free will, but is it or isn't it? So there are always ways that I'm trying to push the boundaries of kind of what you can do with hypnosis and how far you can take it in an ethical way, of course. I'm not going to ever make someone do something that is uncomfortable or violates their consent or anything in that way, but really sort of pushing the boundaries of, well, how far can you go with it and where can you take that psychology? So
what about, since they're on stage, these contestants, what do you call them? These
volunteers.
These volunteers are on stage.
You're the next contestant on Zach Pincince's Hypnosis show. Step right up and sleep.
Do you have an announcer?
No.
Okay. Well, okay. So those, you definitely.
I am the announcer.
You don't have like a pre-recorded thing that plays when you come on?
No, that's always up to the students in the school. So, and sometimes they do a great job and sometimes not. Sometimes it's, everybody here, give a warm welcome to Zach Pincince.
You don't do like your own intro? No. Zach Pincince.
Well, once I get on the stage, I'm like, who's ready for a hypnosis? And I sort of build that energy as I need.
What if you did it in like different characters?
No, that would be fun.
Well, next up, we've got Zach Pincince. There you go. Nice. Okay, so that
Donald
back to the people with their shoes on their head. All right.
Yes, shoes
now,
on their head.
is there a part of this hypnosis that's happening in front of a live audience? A part of being that person that's sitting on this, like I'm on stage and I'm in a chair and I'm in front of all my friends and family. Is there? What do you think is? What do you think is the? How much of that do you think is
Compliance?
Yes, compliance. Thank you.
I think there's certainly an element of it where, especially going into it, people understand what's going to happen, right? Like people know, okay, eventually if I get hypnotized, sometimes I'll bring people up on stage first. Sometimes I'll do it in the audience. So if I do it in the audience, people will know, okay, if I'm allowing myself to get hypnotized, there's a good chance I will be up on stage and in front of an audience. And am I okay doing that? And I've had shows where afterwards I'll talk to people and they say, I got hypnotized in the audience really well, But I pulled myself out of it because I didn't want to be up on the stage and be a part of the
Right.
show. But it worked really well, and
Right,
I was
right.
hypnotized, and it was great. So there's certainly an extent where people understand sort of this agreement of what's happening, where they know they're going to be a part of the show, and I always want to frame it in a way where I'm doing it where it's comfortable for them and they're not being embarrassed, and I never want to create a situation that's uncomfortable for people up on stage. I want to make sure the people being hypnotized are having fun. But there is a certain element of that compliance where people understand, okay, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do or I should do, but it's more than just that, right? It's easy to think, okay, well, people are just doing what you tell them to do, but it's that to a really heightened level where people are compliant without second guessing or doubting whether or not it might not be true. So if I hypnotize someone to say, well, you are now a chicken, and walk around the stage as a chicken, which I don't do because I don't want to do something that's embarrassing or humiliating for people, right?
Okay.
So, but if I were to do that, you could say, okay, it's easy enough for people to just, oh, buck, I'm a chicken. Look at me. I'm just doing what he says to do, right? And you're just having them walk around on the stage. But if I hypnotize someone to say, okay, and I am now your favorite celebrity, and they just start bursting in tears, oh my gosh, you're Beyonce. I love you so much. You're my favorite, right? Unless they're a really, really good actor, that's very hard to do, is just suddenly like burst into tears on the spot, right? Like, or there's another routine I like to do at the beginning of my shows to sort of show how far it goes, is I say hypnosis is the funniest word in the world. The more I say it, the funnier it gets. And I'll say, hey, you guys having fun with hypnosis? And they just start bursting into laughter. And you can tell, right, with someone, this is so funny. And if someone's like really laughing, like I can't even really fake a genuine laugh in that moment right now. But
of course.
But you can usually tell, like, if someone's having a genuine experience of laughter versus, that's so funny, right? So you can only comply to an extent. If I say, okay, you're going to experience this, people can like, okay, sure, I do that. But you can usually tell if someone is just going along with it or if they're having a genuine, real experience. And that's why I like to try to do things in my show that are a demonstration of that, where I give people that experience of, okay, something real is happening beyond just them complying and going along with it. Though there's certainly a part of their brain where they say, all right, in order to accept this suggestion, I sort of know what's happening and I'm choosing to accept that suggestion, because they could always say no. Right. If I were to suggest something that is uncomfortable or inappropriate for them to do, their mind could recognize, wait, that's not something that I would want to happen, so I don't know that I will allow that to happen. So they can choose to reject it. So there's a certain sense where people say, will I believe this? Will I let this happen? And when they do, they are suddenly experiencing that belief to a much more heightened state than they're just go along with it and doing what I say. So it's kind of it's a yes and. It's not just one or the other. There is a level of compliance, but it doesn't just stop there. It goes beyond compliance into a full-on experience of that belief.
What about compliance for a hypnotherapy session?
Well, they're compliant in the sense that like they understand what's happening, just that it's a different situation, right? You know, if people are on stage, they are compliant to the extent where they're like, okay, I know I'm going to be doing stuff in front of an audience, and I know that's sort of my role to be able to do what is said, but then they experience it beyond just them doing what's said, but they're experiencing that belief to a more fuller extent. Hypnotherapy is the same way, where if you're in like a clinical session with a hypnotherapist and it's just you and them in the office, you sort of are compliant to say, all right, this therapist knows what's best, and they're going to guide me into a state where they're going to help me process some things that I wouldn't be able to process on my own. So I have to be willing to let them get there, and I have to be willing to be vulnerable in this moment and be willing to sort of answer the questions they have and be willing to let myself get deep enough in that experience that I can process that stuff. So there's still a different level of compliance, just it's adapted to that situation. But again, just like with the stage, it's more than just saying, all right, the therapist is helping me visualize and experience this, so that's what I'm doing. But the therapist gets you into a state where you're more than just doing what they say, but you're fully experiencing it, and you're in this trance state where those beliefs are becoming more real to you than you just go along and doing it.
Has anyone asked you to help them stop smoking?
Yeah, I've had a few videos where I've done that. I've never like followed up with people where I should. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish I'd done that early on when I've helped people to stop smoking, where I'm like, oh, did you actually stop? Like, did it help you? And you know, there are some people who, again, have commented on my YouTube videos of like, okay, I quit smoking because of this video. Thank you so much. But I'm like, I don't know if they quit for a month or for a year or forever, if they eventually went back to it. And so it certainly is possible. And I have a lot of other colleagues who do more hypnotherapy, and that's what they do. And they have jars of cigarettes that people leave behind.
No way.
And they
That's cool.
walk out. And so, but
Do you take any personal clients for private hypnosis sessions?
I used to. I kind of stopped for a while. I didn't like the way that it sort of created this savior complex where people were like, "Oh, solve all of my problems," and it wasn't framed in the right way because people would see all my fun hypnosis and they thought, "Well, if you can just make someone believe you're a celebrity, can you just make me believe I have no problems or make all my problems go away?" And like I talked about earlier, like no, it's a work that you have to do. Like I can help you help yourself, but it's not me just magically doing it. So I kind of stopped doing clients for a while. If people reach out to me, sometimes I will take on a few clients here or there, as long as they're understanding of like, okay, it's not me just magically making you better and fixing all your problems, but it's me helping you work with yourself to do that. So people reached out to me. I'm still open to taking clients. I just take very few at this point because I'm very aware of not wanting to take advantage of people because I could easily just take people's money. There are people desperately reaching out, I'll pay you whatever and just work with me and solve all my issues, but it's not going to actually help them because they're not in the right state. So as long as I know like it will actually like be of help to someone and it's not me just taking advantage of them in a desperate hour, then sure.
Now, I know that you're a big reader. Am I right? Yeah. Are you reading anything good right now?
It's funny. I go in waves where sometimes, because I consume a lot on YouTube too, so I like to absorb a lot of podcasts and videos, and so there's some times where I'm more kind of on the video side, more on the reading side. So there'll be times where I'm cranking out and I'm reading a book a week, and I'm just like through 10 books in 2 months, and then there's some times where I won't read anything for a few months, and then I'm back to reading a lot, and then I'm back off. But I just read a book. I'm trying to remember what the title was. I can't remember the exact title, but it was a philosophy book. There's a lot of just different short stories about philosophies and just insights, and so it was just more exploring. It was based off of there's a YouTube channel called Pursuit of Wonder, which makes a lot of interesting philosophy videos. So they had a book that was sort of a summary of a lot of their videos called I think the story of everything or everyone or something along those lines. But I just recently finished that book, and I had seen a lot of the videos, but it was helpful to read the book and sort of reabsorb some of those lessons a second time or in written format instead of hearing it auditorily.
Did any lessons stick out in those books?
Yeah, I mean, I have a little notes app on my phone of like I was taking notes as I was reading and just hearing different ideas, but because each one sort of had a different insight. But one I think in particular that sort of stands out to me was thinking about how, when you look at things from a big perspective, nothing we really do matters. We've been dead for millions of years and are here for maybe 100 if we're lucky, if that. And then we're dead for millions of years and we don't care. And no one will remember, any of us, what we do hundreds of years ago, let alone thousands of years in the future. Like, can you name one person that lived in the year 1023?
No.
Like one day humans will think about Americans. Like we think about Americans of all the different American presidents and celebrities and pop culture influences. People will think about Americans in the same way that we do, like Egyptians, the ancient Greeks. Like okay, sure, we can maybe name a few Greek emperors or pharaohs, but do we know anything about them? Who they were as a person, who they loved, how they loved, what they cared about, what their goal, like they just were in charge.
Well, now we have social media.
Yeah, a little bit. Like we have social media.
Technology and YouTube.
But ultimately, everything is going to be so far to the ends of AI and VR that like all of these little TikTok videos we make now are going to seem like the way we look at cassette tapes. They're going to be so primitive that no one's going to care about these little videos.
Do you think it's going to happen sooner or later?
It will take some time. I think it will happen to an extent, hopefully, when we're still alive. I think in the next 30 to 50 years, it will have another.
Do you think we're ever going to upload our consciousness?
I don't know if it will get to that point while we're alive, but I think there is definitely a chance. I think humans will get to the point very soon where we become basically, we can cure any disease or illness and we won't die from non-accidental causes. Like if you get in a car crash, you'll still die, but you won't die of cancer. You won't die of old age. You won't die of disease. Like you can be kept alive more or less indefinitely. And we're within the next few decades, like the science is basically there. Like we're understanding stem cell research. We're really getting into that point where that's a very near future. So back to like the idea of like some of the insights that I'm thinking about when I think about life in terms of this context of like, look, nothing matters. It doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter how many followers I have, how many views I get,
Right.
what I achieve, what I don't. It's all going to be forgotten anyway. So like live in the moment, do what I enjoy now in these moments. But when I think about the things that I want to achieve, like let's say if I had a goal of wanting to become a voice actor and act in an animated movie, I think that's something I would love to do someday.
Totally.
Is use my voices and become a voice in an animated movie. I think that would be very fun. If that's a goal that I had to set, and I woke up tomorrow and had that goal achieved, then okay, great, I achieved the goal. Cool. It was fun to do. And now what? But if I do that in 3 years, and over the next 3 years, I'm working towards that goal. I'm having fun. I'm taking classes. I'm working on impressions, uploading some fun videos, meeting people along the way, doing these other smaller projects to build up experience and having fun. And then I achieve that goal. That's so much more rewarding. The goal still feels the same, but it's the process of getting to the goal, which is way more important than the goal itself. So I've sort of come to this realization that like building your dream life is way more fun than having it. You could, if I was a genie and I snapped my fingers and gave you everything you ever wanted it, you would enjoy it for a little bit, a couple days, a few weeks, maybe a few months at most, and then you would get bored because you just have it. Part of being human is willing to grow and being willing to learn, right? There's an expression that says if you're not growing, you're dying. Like you're doing one of two things. So for me, like one of the insights I got from that philosophy book, and one thing I've been thinking about recently is that, the process of getting to your dream is better than just having your dream. So how can I enjoy the process along the way, right? Like Miley Cyrus once said, ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. But it's the climb. It's the journey. It's the process. So it doesn't really matter how far I get or where I go as long as I enjoy the process of getting there,
Do you have any it's a complex thing we're talking about, lifestyle design, basically.
Yeah.
Has anything changed in the recent years that you've now started doing that you weren't doing 2 or 3 years ago?
Changed in terms of habits or things that I'm...
Habits, maybe you're consuming, your thoughts.
It's hard to say because I think a lot of those things happen subtly, right? Where it's like sometimes it's easy to recognize the growth over a long period of time, but not day to day, right? Like I can easily recognize that I am a much more intelligent person than I was a year ago or 2 years or 3 years ago. I can realize I'm more emotionally mature. I can realize I've come a further way as far as who I am and my understanding of myself. And I still know I have such a far way to go. But that's not something I always recognize day to day where I'm like, oh, I did this one thing and it changed everything. Or I just started doing this differently. Or I now do this and I now don't. But it just became that process over time. It's kind of like when you were a little kid or if you know someone who's a little kid and you see them every day, then you're like, oh, so how did you suddenly get to be 5 feet tall? You were 3 feet yesterday. But if you like are visiting relatives and you see your little cousins once or twice a year and you're like, whoa, you grew 6 inches since the last time I saw you. Like, what happened? Because you weren't like around that change seemed more drastic. But to their parents or the people who are around them all the time, they don't notice that change because it happens so gradually. So for me, I don't know that there are any specific things where it's like, I had this one big habit or I stopped doing this one thing. But it was just this lifestyle of kind of some of the habits we talked about earlier of just immersing myself in books, in podcasts, in learning, in new hobbies and experiences and the people that I'm around. And ultimately, like that changed the person that I was for the better over the course of that time. But it wasn't just an immediate thing or it wasn't the result of just, oh, I did this and suddenly I was completely different. But it was just being willing to experience that gradually. And now looking back, I'm like, wow, I am a very different person than I used to be just because of that willingness to grow and change a day at a time.
Do you think everything with hypnosis has been revealed or explored?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I think there's still a lot more that we can tap into.
What do you think is going to be, do you see anything just over the horizon that you can kind of see? like new tech comes out, you can kind of like the Oculus is out, so we can,
Yeah.
be aware of new trends. And
There are things that I think would be cool to get into, like partnering with maybe scientists or labs, where if we put people under hypnosis and we sort of hook them up to a brain scanner or a machine to sort of see like what's their mind exactly doing in this state, or something where it's like the free will experiment where I gave people a suggestion, but told them they would feel like it's their own suggestion, like what's happening in their brain. I don't know a lot of the neuroscience, but are there certain like parts of your brain that light up when you make a choice, or when you feel like you made your own choice? Is something happening in your brain? So if I hypnotize someone and have them think they're making their own choice, does that part of their brain lighting up, or is there something else that's like, is there an influence part of the, like, I don't know the neuroscience exactly, so I can't really speak to it clearly or intelligibly, but yeah, I would love to maybe experiment more and see how far you can take certain things and really understand more of the science of like what is exactly happening when people are in that state.
kind of reminds me of like something Vsauce would do. Are you familiar with Vsauce? But yeah, did you ever watch their mind episodes?
Yep, I think a few of them.
Yeah, I could see you doing something similar, but with all focused towards hypnosis would be very interesting. I would love to see that. That'd be great. Cool. All right, what are your plans for this year? What goals do you have? You're talking a lot about goals today and trends and habits.
Or creating habits.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I have the general things of like, well, I would love to, do more with obviously the singing. I'm still doing my singing most days. I'm still doing my weekly lessons. I want to start doing more with voice acting this year. Obviously, hypnosis, doing more shows. But there are still habits that I need to create around those things. Like there are some things where like, all right, with the singing, I know I'm going to sing just about every day, and I'm still doing my weekly lessons. So I have those habits in place for that at least. But with other things, we're like, all right, if I want to start getting into doing more voice acting or doing the voice of an animated movie someday, what habits should I create now? Whether it's, do I take some classes? Do I do training? Do I start taking acting lessons to grow in that regard? Same thing with my content. Like, do I want to start my own podcast? Do I want to start live streaming? Do I want to start posting motivational content more often, or start posting voice acting? Or I'm still trying to figure out what I want that to look like in that regard. So I kind of have these bigger goals of, okay, I want to grow in these areas, but I'm still sort of working towards figuring out, all right, going into this year, what are the habits I need to put in place to make sure those things happen, and how can I achieve those things? So still a work in progress, but we'll get there. By this time next year, I'll have gone a lot further, hopefully. So
no definite plans? They don't have any...
Well, I mean, I have the TED Talk coming up next month, which will be fun too. True. And, there are just a lot of things sort of in the works or in progress right now in a way where other than the TED Talk, that's like a definite on the schedule, booked for that, doing that. There are things where it's like, all right, I'm in kind of talks with possibilities or opportunities or growing
keeping it open.
And keeping it open. But so like there are still opportunities for like a potential hypnosis show in the works too,
Sure.
like the Netflix show that didn't end up happening.
Yeah.
But we're still trying to pivot and make a show happen otherwise. But now it's just a matter of,
what if you
seeing
shot it yourself and, scripted it out?
Well, yeah, we're looking at possibilities. I'm still working with producers right now to make that happen, but it's just one of those things where it's kind of just happening behind the scenes right now, and maybe it turns into something huge and maybe it goes nowhere. Like, you kind of never know. So there are certain things where, I can create habits in my life to keep practicing, keep growing in certain areas. But there are some things where sometimes the moment's right and something big happens, and sometimes you just kind of keep going while you're waiting for it in the meantime. So it will be really fun to see where this year goes for me. It's weird to think about. This is my first full year in LA, even though I moved here over 3 years ago, because I moved here end of 2019.
Yeah.
And then it all closed down beginning of 2020 because of the pandemic. And then it opened up a little bit 2021, shut back down. And then it opened up the end of 2022. But going into 2023, I'm like, this is the first year where I'll actually have the full year of it being real LA and fully open the whole time.
Right.
So,
I'm excited.
Yeah. So It's weird to say that it's taken that long, and I've already been here for over 3 years, but it'll be a fun year. So I'm excited for what's ahead.
All right. I want to know, lastly, what advice you would give to a new creator, somebody just starting today, maybe a business owner that's not sure if they're not sure they want to start or how to start. They're not sure how to start. Do you have any advice to them? Just
Sure. It's it'll kind of be a recap of some of the things we even talked
Sure.
about earlier
That's-
too.
it's
But
the
like,
end.
But
We're gonna wrap-
I'll give 3 pieces
wrapping it up.
of advice, sort of wrapping it up and kind
Yeah.
of calling back to other things that we talked about earlier. The first piece of advice, which is more specific to creator than a business owner, is don't think about the views when you're starting. Don't think about what goes viral. Don't think about what other people will like. Just post. Just post consistently. Just put yourself out there. And through that process of posting, you will learn what people like and what they don't. You'll see what things people interact with and what they don't. And you'll get a sense for the type of content that marries what people enjoy watching and what you enjoy creating. Because you never want to go too far on either, perspective. If you do something that you enjoy and nobody enjoys watching, if your goal is to make a business out of it, then you have to pivot to some extent. But you also don't want to make something that everyone enjoys watching that you hate making, right? So, but when you're getting started, you have to be able to learn and figure out what that is. So most people go into like creating content of like, all right, I got to get to this follower count at this amount of time and get this amount of views and make this amount of money. But you can't think that way when you get started. You have to just be willing to put yourself out there and experiment, challenge yourself to post at least 1 video a day, try new things, be willing to experiment. Second piece of advice is sort of on those lines of be willing to fail and be willing to flop and be willing to get it wrong, because a lot of times those failures are the best teachers and they're the best lessons. And through those failures, that is how you will succeed. And that's advice that's, especially applicable to business and is almost even more applicable as you're starting a business. You have to be willing to fail to learn how you can succeed. And most business owners tell you it's not, I made some money and it was just a steady incline up. It's, I made a lot and I lost a lot and I made a lot and I lost a lot. And then eventually I ended up making more, but it's this constant process of up and down and failing and succeeding and failing and succeeding. But being willing to fail is part of that journey to success. So, and then the last thing is, I'll go back to that tip that I gave about burnout earlier of like, do
Sure.
what makes you feel alive, do what makes you feel fulfilled. Like
Right.
eventually, if you work hard enough and long enough, you'll start to feel burnt out, but that will happen if you're too focused on the work and not the things that fulfill you and make you feel alive. So if you're just getting started in creating a business, creating your own platform, creating, a space as an influencer, creating your own content, try to frame it and approach it in a way that you are doing what makes you feel alive. You are doing what makes you happy. You are doing what brings joy to you and other people, because that will be more fulfilling in the long run. And if you approach it that way from the beginning, and that's who people see you are from the get-go, it will be way easier for you, because that's how you'll always have framed yourself from the start, right? For me, even though that's more of what I want to do, posting more of that motivational content, and I do, and I'm starting to put more of that out there, it's harder because initially I frame myself as the fun hypnosis guy, and people don't want to watch anything that's not the fun hypnosis stuff. And so for me, it's a lot harder to sort of work into that other side of, well, I now want to do these things that are more fulfilling and motivating and encouraging, but they don't perform as well. I'm still going to do them because I enjoy doing them. But if that's how you frame yourself from the beginning of like, you want to do what's important to you and what you love, and this is who you are, people start following you for who you are right from the get-go. Your engagement and your audience will be so much more valuable because they will be drawn to you for who you are right from the beginning, and that'll help you grow so much faster.
Wow.
Well, there you go. The social conditioning is, and have Dominic applaud for you. That's my biggest piece of advice. Listen to Breakout Creator.
I'm
That
applauding
is
for everyone. Yeah. Wow.
Oh, well, now I don't feel special.
No.
Hey, I mean, I'm sure everyone you have in here deserves to be applauded. So
Thank you. Thanks, Zach.
thanks for having me. This was fun.
You're the man.
This was what, 2-hour conversation?
2 hours.
Woo.
2 hours and 15.
It flew by, huh?
That was fun.
Are you gonna put this?
That was
whole thing
challenging,
up,
too.
Or are you gonna?
Okay, so the way I've been doing it, I've been filming everything in one go like this. This is our podcast that I post to the Breakout Creator channel on YouTube in entirety, edited to,
You do edit it a little bit, okay?
I'll edit out any like silly mistakes.
Do you edit it or does someone else do it?
I edit it right here.
Oh wow! How long does that take you?
Yeah, how long does it take? That's a good question. A few hours. I mean,
Yeah, I bet.
2 hour podcast will probably take me 4 hours to edit, because what I'm doing is I'm watching the podcast from start to finish, but as I'm going, I'm clipping out clips, and I'm going to make a folder for you.
Yeah.
So I'll go, I don't know if I sent, did I tell you that already?
No.
No. So everything that we talked about today, I'll clip out and give that to you.
Great.
So you've got a
Yeah,
folder.
I'll post some clips and tag
Yeah.
you in it. And yeah,
It'll probably be 100 at least, you know?
cool.
So
Plenty of content.
plenty of content for me and you and dude, I have a whole strategy around it. So I watched the whole clip and I clip it out as I go, and that, you know, takes me a little while. So yeah, it's good.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I'm going to hit stop here and then we're going to play some games.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So I've got a wheel over here and there are 20 or so games right here.
Okay.
So I'm going to spin the wheel
Yeah.
and, you know, whatever it lands on, we'll do.
Okay.
You like improv?
Sure.
This will be the bonus clip on the podcast. If anybody wants to stay, maybe we'll just put it in its entirety also.
Spin that wheel.
Oh, you'll like this game. You know this game. So it's called Incoherent. Come on. Okay, so that's what it says. Can you see that?
Yeah. Netflix and chill.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so are we gonna Netflix and chill? Or
Hey, got it. 1 second. Easy. All right. Lateral thinking. These are fun.
lateral thinking.
Here we go. Matthew often goes the wrong way down a one-way street past a police station.
Okay.
How does he get away with it without ever breaking the law?
Does he's just walking?
Yeah! Whoa! You got it. You got it one try. That's amazing.
Wasn't that lateral? Hey, we'll take it. That was just the first thing that came into my mind. Of okay, he's walking past the police station. I didn't assume he was driving down the one way. Yeah.
That was good.
All right.
That would have stumped me.
All right.
Okay. Next game.
And that wheel.
All right. It says, "What am I?" Here we go.
What am I?
I like the sound effects. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. What am I? I can sometimes be very private.
Okay.
Okay. Take a guess.
Just that's it?
Yeah.
You're private?
Yeah.
A detective?
No. Most people visit me for more than 10 years.
Are you a tombstone?
No. I can sometimes be public.
You're private and public.
Yep.
And people visit you
Yep.
for more than 10 years?
Mm-hmm.
A memorial?
No. Sometimes I'm I'm religious.
Sometimes you are religious.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a church?
No. Oh, I thought you almost had it. Males and females usually participate together.
Are you a concert?
No,
Sort of
no.
event?
Without me, we would have no doctors.
A hospital?
No, I'm also the name for a group of fish.
A school?
Yeah,
Okay,
school.
That was very hard on its own. A lot of things are private or public.
You
or
got it.
participate together.
Well done.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, we're gonna keep going.
Spin that wheel.
All right. Next game is called "How Did You Know That?" It's not really different. It's the same. Just a question. Here we go. Do raindrops fall faster than... No. Do big raindrops fall faster than small ones?
No.
Yes. Actually, the biggest raindrops fall almost 4 times faster than the small ones.
Wow. I did not know that.
I didn't know that either. I don't even know if that's true.
Well,
That doesn't seem like it would be
assumed they
true.
would fall at the same rate, but apparently I was wrong.
Okay. We're going to do a who am I? You ready?
Ooh, I like a color.
Who. All right. Who am I? I am an American actor.
Okay.
Okay.
Just guess an American actor.
Yes.
Tom Hanks.
Nope. I've played many soldiers.
Mel Gibson.
Nope. I've acted in Shakespeare on stage and screen.
What? I don't know.
It's a tough one.
Shakespeare actors. Soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Mm-hmm. Take a guess.
Matt Damon.
Nope. I've played multiple policemen and a gangster.
What? Brad Pitt.
No. I have a son named after Malcolm X. Come on.
Son named Malcolm X.
Come on.
I have no idea. Samuel L. Jackson.
No. I played basketball with my son because he got game.
Got game. Michael Jordan.
Nope. I have won the Best Actor Oscar twice so far.
What?
Yeah.
George Clooney?
Nope. Okay. Who am I with the initials DW?
Dana White? I have
No,
idea.
I'll give you one more try.
I cannot think of any other
DW.
DW celebrities or people. Daniel White.
Oh, Denzel Washington.
Denzel Washington. Okay. Yeah, I should have gotten that one. That's all right.
Okay.
It's hard. All those different questions make you think in different directions.
Right?
Spin that wheel.
Here we go. Lateral thinking again. When a fire broke out in an airplane, a panicking... I'm going to do this again. When a fire broke out in an airplane, a panicking passenger opened up the emergency hatch and threw himself out, even though he had no parachute. How was it when the rescue services found him, he was alive and well, without injury?
Because the airplane never took off. It was on the ground.
Yes!
Before it landed.
Yes! Check this out. Built-in
Thank you. Thank
audience.
you very much. Oh, yeah. Thank you very much.
Good job.
Poison for Cusco.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite one. All right, you've got 3 seconds to... No. You got 5 seconds. This is called 5-second rule. 5 seconds to name 3 things you shout at a baseball game.
Home run! You're out! What?
Wait, what? Oh, wait, what was the last one?
What?
What?
Like a bad call. What?
Oh, okay. Oh, should we take it?
You're out didn't make a lot of sense. That was kind of the two combined together.
All right. Games of things. All right. Name something that you would get. Name something that would get you fired.
You late?
Okay. All right. Name something that would make you scream.
A ghost.
Okay. And something you would like to do with a bald head.
Rub it. Rub it like a genie.
That's good. All right. You're good at this. All right. What am I? There it is. What am I? Here we go. What am I? I'm an article of furniture.
A couch.
No. I was invented by the Victorians.
Chair.
No. On Seinfeld, Kramer wrote a book about me.
A table.
Yes, but what kind of
Coffee table?
Yeah, coffee table.
I've not seen Seinfeld. That was a lucky guess.
You got to watch Seinfeld, man. Seinfeld
I was
is-
uncultured as a kid. That's right.
You know, Seinfeld is on Netflix now, so
Oh, okay.
yeah. Okay. All right, we're gonna do a couple more and we'll be done. All right, we've got another game here. Let's show the guests, show the thing. So guys, we're gonna play Incoherent. This is what he's gonna see. And are you ready? Here we go, Zach.
All right. Sad hurt Acer fourth a voice.
Just gotta guess what it says.
Oh, well. Of course, Saturdays are for the boys.
Wow. Is that a record?
Perhaps.
You're so good at these. I'm just gonna pick one. All right. I'm gonna do Mind Trap.
Oh.
All right. If an airplane carrying the U.S. swim team crashed directly on the border between the United States and Canada, in which country would the survivors be buried?
Probably the U.S., since that's where they were from.
No.
But it is the U.S.?
No.
Canada?
No.
On the border?
Yes.
They'd be buried on the border?
No.
What?
You don't bury survivors.
Oh, survivors. Well,
I have stumped the unstumpable.
I flew right off of that one.
I kind of just threw it in there at the end.
All right, give me a couple of famous cartoon characters and give me a line you would like them to say.
I like that. Where's my money? Donald Duck. I don't have your money, Donald. Chill. Mickey, let's go to the circus.
No, come on, pal. Let's go to the circus. I hear Donald was stealing money at the circus today.
Oh man. Let's talk about blueberry pie with Goofy.
Gosh, well, you gotta try my famous blueberry pie. Oh, I love it so much. Yeah. Even my boy Maxie loves it. Dad, I don't want to try your blueberry pie. Oh, come on, Maxie, it's so good.
All right, is his name Crump? Is that
Crump?
Crump? What's the guy from that one movie with the llama? Crump?
Oh, Kronk. Oh,
Kronk.
yeah. Spinach puffs, Kronk, yeah.
Crunk. Okay, Crunk is late to a job interview.
Oh, so sorry I'm late. My spinach puffs were burning in the oven. I had to make sure Yzma got her dessert. But where do we start? Special skills. That's right. I can talk to squirrels. Squawk, squawk, squawkity, squawk.
He's got to talk about his receding hairline now.
Oh, my receding hairline. Oh, great. That's one of my favorite traits. My grandfather had his receding hairline. My father had his receding hairline. And my hairline's starting to recede. But that's okay because we'll just understand that the hairline recedes and that's all it does. But that doesn't take away from my personality. I'm still going
And it's on Zoom.
And it's on Zoom. Oh, wonderful. Well, you know, they always have these Zoom filters they can use on Zoom. You know, I can make myself go wherever I want. I could be in space. I could be an astronaut. I could do anything.
Now you're at the mall.
I'm at the mall at an interview on Zoom. What is happening? Am I alive? Am I dreaming? I must be a squirrel.
All right, now Kronk is talking to a weather person. All right, or as a weather. Kronk is a weather person. Here we go.
Weather person. All right. Good evening. Today I am coming to you from sunny California in Venice Beach, where it is raining. It never rains here today. But the nice thing about rain is there are lots of puddles to jump in.
Beautiful. And now let's get. I wish I had like a list of all the voices I know that you do. You pick the next voice.
Well, pick Pooh, Tigger, or Eeyore.
All right,
one of those.
Pooh as an influencer. Let's hear it.
Oh, what's up, my homies? Thank you for stopping in on my Pooh People YouTube channel. Before we get started, make sure that you smash that like button, hit that subscribe, and if you're feeling so kind, donate with some honey.
Wow. Amazing. Okay, what was the other ones?
Tigger or Eeyore, which one are you next?
Let's get Tigger tries an electric scooter for the first time.
This scooter, though, is so fun. You know, I love bouncing, but sometimes my tail gets tired from all that bouncing. But I discovered this scooter thing over here, and I just say, you can turn it on, and it's magical. You don't need to bounce anywhere. You just ride.
Beautiful. Well, give me another one you can do. Eeyore. All right. So Eeyore talks about his beer belly.
That's very rude of you. You think I want to talk about my beer belly? Look, I'm very sad all of the time. And now you're going to make fun of my fat physique. How rude. But I don't care because I'm always sad.
Beautiful. And Minnie talks about... No.
What's Minnie gonna talk about?
Minnie's going to talk about morning breath.
Well, the nice thing about morning breath is if you sleep with someone like Mickey, he always has amazing breath. But he has amazing breath because I buy him the #1 toothpaste recommended by 99 out of 100 dentists in America. The No Morning Breath toothpaste.
Shaggy has OCD.
Like, man, I don't know what's going on. What? That's a cool paper towel dispenser over there, man. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, I had a sandwich for lunch yesterday, and wait, that's a very cool. That sign says hello, man. Like zoinks, that's pretty cool.
Give me another one. Give me another one.
Characters.
Oh yes, thank you. All right, SpongeBob has back pain.
Oh, great, Patrick. I was out jellyfishing all day yesterday, and my back is killing me. Do you want to do some yoga?
Patrick caught a catfish.
SpongeBob, I got a catfish in my jellyfishing net.
Patrick, that's not a catfish. That's a real cat.
Mr. Krabs is the third wheel.
I hate being the third wheel between these two idiots. I thought employing them to work at the Krusty Krab would be great, and they would make me lots of money. And I thought, if I come jellyfishing with these two fools, they might catch me some rare exotic catfish that I could sell for money. But no, they're just idiots.
And what's the little guy's name?
Plankton or Squidward?
Yes, I was thinking it's Plankton, but what's his name? Of course it's Plankton. Okay, Plankton is a germaphobe.
Ah, the nice thing about being a germaphobe is I am actually technically a germ, so I'm always scared of myself.
Okay. Any other cartoon characters?
We do one for Squidward too. We'll round out
Squidward.
SpongeBob.
Squidward tells SpongeBob that he's a morning person. About the benefits of being a morning person.
All right, SpongeBob, I have to tell you the secret.
What is it, Squidward?
Waking up in the morning at 5 a.m. specifically is great for you.
Ah, that sounds horrible.
No, SpongeBob, really, it's amazing because when I wake up at 5 a.m., you are not awake, and that's the best part of my day.
I love you too, Squidward.
Mr. Krabs as a motivational speaker.
What's going on, America? Thank you for coming to my talk. Now, I promised you all free Krabby Patties for coming here today, but the wonderful thing about Krabby Patties is they make you feel good. The best part of life is feeling good, and the way you feel good is by doing what you love, and I love money!
Nah, that was more Plankton.
SpongeBob realizes SpongeBob meets his identical twin.
Who are you?
I'm evil SpongeBob.
Whoa! You look just like me.
Yeah, but I don't sound like you. I'm evil SpongeBob.
Whoa! This is freaky. Evil SpongeBob, can you do this? Ah! Nah, I do it better.
Amazing. Amazing.